Well, hello everyone. It is Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We already have people in the green room, so if you'd like to join the show tonight, it's very simple. All you have to do is look at the description below. There's a Zoom link. Come on board. We do have another guest that will be joining us, my good buddy Dylan. I don't want to say he's going through the drive-thru because that would be bad, but if you watch this Friday night, then you would know what took place between Sideshow Gamble, Chris over at Sideshow, and me, Mid-Atlantic Craps, Friday night. Boy, what a night last night we had. I don't want to pat my back because part of the pre-show I'm going to be talking about is something that happened a little earlier in the week on Big AZ's show. So if you're in the green room, just hang on. Your audio's not live, but you should be able to hear the show. I do believe Chris is chugging something right now at the moment. Chris, give me a wave if you can hear me. All right, thank you. He gave me the thumbs up. So anyway, guys, we're going to go a little early today, and the reason why we do this is so it gives people an opportunity to jump in at 9 o'clock. So there's a couple things that we are going to do, and one of those things is, well, we're going to talk about, well, let's see, how can I say it? We're going to talk about something that took place during Tuesday night, I believe it was, Big AZ's channel. It had skill. It had Chris G, Joe the Coder, and me playing, and it was a pretty long session. And thanks to, I believe it was Duracell, it could have been Otto, one of the two of them, they gave a super chat, which took, if Big AZ was able to call his shot, it paid 10 times. Guys, I was all in at the moment, and we're going to relive just a little bit of that, so bear with me. This is all part of the show tonight. And to Duracell, it shouldn't be dual streaming tonight. We should only be on the Casino Gaming TV Network. It is not streaming, so keep that in mind. We're here on the Casino Gaming TV Network, and we are going to head on over, and I'm gonna set this up for you guys, okay? What happened was, as I said, Big AZ was rolling his rollout. Chris G, Joe Decoder, Skill and me. It got down to Skill and me, so I'm gonna pick it up where I doubled up, and where I doubled up, you're gonna see the four. How Big AZ does his four players. You're going to see that. And you're going to see the double up, and then I'm going to go right into the very next to the last roll. So bear with us while we get this thing going, and let's get this pre-show on the way, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.
And double it.
What are you doing with that?
That too, yeah. All that, everything to the straight up. I mean, yeah, all in. I mean,
all right.
At this point.
I got to go with a yo. I have to go with the yo.
4263.
Left-handed. Yo. Yo!
Yes!
No.
Who's in the game now?
No.
Who is in the game now?
Holy
Who is in the game
crap.
now?
Hey,
Thank you, CRC.
Wow. Oh, my. Oh, my. Let's mark it. Oh, my goodness.
Take that, Dylan.
yeah. Hey, you earned it. You earned it. Congratulations.
You talk about a Hail Mary.
Yep. That was really going big or going home.
Yeah, I just went home, I think, is what happened. I might need gas. Jeff, can I get some gas money from you?
Sure.
1,000, 2,000, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 11. 29, 11. So that means it's 29,000. 110.
Yeah, 110. Crazy, and that pretty much puts you right back in there with skill.
It's close. He's got a lot of place bet money out there still.
29, 110.
The game ain't over yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Woo!
Congratulations.
All right, so I was all in the field with my chips that I had. You saw what took place there. Big AZ calls the yo, and if he rolls it, he hits 10 times. And now let's fast forward to when the completion is. Chris G's out of the game, and Joe is in the chat, but he's off the table. He also went bankrupt on that roll. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened next.
Jeff, your bet.
Leave the inside easies up, turn my place bets off, and put me 1,000 in the field.
Skill.
Return my hard ways and all bets set.
We're going to go with a 9. We got a 7. 4-3.
Okay, that changes everything.
Skill, I wonder how many pink chips you got.
It's I don't know. I think you might have got. I think you just might have done it.
Yeah, I can come turn it off. I mean, I can't tell how many you have. And I almost put 3,000 in the hop and the sevens out there. Almost. Almost.
That was a 7 roller. Wow, that was one hell of a match tonight, boys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Hey, Rich. Whoo! Damn. Hey, Drunky. You guys missed a hell of a match tonight. Crazy stuff tonight. Skill, we're going to see what you got, and we're going to see if Jeff can get there.
Oh, I'm sure.
The dealers tonight, nothing. Nothing for the dealers.
We did try for the dealers, though.
We didn't win nothing.
Yeah, the dealers didn't win anything, but they did have bets.
It was that crazy yo call that made the night.
Crazy.
Yeah, that really did save your bacon, man.
Yeah. Let's see. I had
15,000, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20,000, 882. 20,882.
And it's still not enough.
I don't think it is either. I should have 24 just on the inside that he pulled down, I think.
You have one 5,000 chip.
Uh-oh. Maybe I counted wrong.
Well,
Yep,
this stack I can't pick up with my hands. That tells you how many yellows you have.
Yeah, that's 20. Yeah, you should have pulled down 24,000. Thanks, Waylon. Thanks, Vince. It's not over with yet.
Whoo! 5,000, 15,000, 25,000, 35,000, 36,000. 226.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, you turning those off. You didn't do that. I think skill had you. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
10, 20, 35,000. 36,000. 226. Woo!
He got lucky twice. I mean, he
Yeah.
pulled that here.
Wow.
He pulled that
I mean,
Hail Mary.
If we had in live wagering, Jeff,
Yeah.
you were probably 300 to 1 to win that match
Yeah,
before that.
you're probably right.
I mean, that
Well-
was just crazy stuff.
There was a time when Jeff was down to maybe, I don't know.
Well, he
maybe
said
300
put it
or
all in the
400.
field. I have no chance. I have no way of
I was
catching
all
it.
in.
Yeah.
I was
He
all
went
in.
all in.
Hey, Big AZ.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Big AZ, if I take 10,000 of that and give to the dealers, would that be okay?
Well, you'd still beat skill, so that would be all right.
I know. There you go. Take 10,000 and give to the dealers.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I might as well give you 1,000 as well then.
Cheapskate. Well, as you can see, guys,
that's funny.
Hey, that's what sec-
that
that's what
was
second
a
place
really
does.
crazy night over on Big AZ's channel. That was there. It was an incredible show that was there. So the pre-show side that we just saw is going to take us right up to about the 8:59 time period. So we got about a minute. So I got about a minute to ad-lib before I bring in my co-host Dylan. Also got another special guest, and I'm not sure. Oh, he's still there. Sorry about that, Chris. I didn't see you in the screen there. But in any event, guys, welcome to Craps Chat. We're going to get the show started right after this. All right, welcome. Dylan, you're live and with us now. You were running just a tad bit late, but welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I just caught the great ending there for that Hail Mary that you did.
Yeah, that was certainly I'll call it a Hail Mary. Let me switch this back around. I pushed the wrong button there, Skill. That's the button I'm supposed to get. So if you want to get on the show, guys, all you have to do is go in the description below. You can also go to crapschat.com, and there's a link there. You just click it. It gets into the Zoom room. Getting ready to bring Chris and another person in who's a familiar face who evidently has a story to tell. So if you've been watching the chat, I would like to say, well, you've been watching the chat. The first person here today, let me put this up here real quick. Let me go back to the beginning. Looks like Duracell was the first one here, but I actually had a little bit of technical difficulties. Chris from Sideshow Gamble at 5:04 this afternoon, my time. He said he's looking forward to the show tonight. He was actually first, but Duracell, we'll give you credit. And Duracell, I can't remember if it was you that made that super chat to do 10 times
Yes.
on the Big AZ show, or if it was Otto. I knew it was one of them that made that bet. Anyway, as you know, Big AZ does some super chats and changes some things up. That was a really fun night. I had no intention of even knowing that I was going to be able to win. And so, anyway, that's the pre-show. John, my friend, how are you?
Hey, good. Can you hear me okay? I'm trying some
Oh, yeah,
different
we can.
microphoning today, so.
No, you're good. You're a lot clearer than Dylan is. But yep, you're good.
Normal. Well, I used to use these as my headphones or my microphone. Now I'm switching to the Mac Daddy, here. So should sound better tonight.
Okay. Well, welcome, and I understand that you want to.
Yeah.
I saw in the chat something about a story. You can go ahead and start the story. I'm going to go ahead and bring I'm going to bring Chris in too.
Yeah.
Chris from Dice Degens joined us in the Zoom side, guys. If you want to join in on the Zoom side, you can just head to the description below. Chris, say something. Make sure the audio's on. Uh-oh. We have no audio. You go ahead and tell the story, John, and I will fix Chris's audio.
Okay. Now, this is not a John Got the Table Max story, but I was damn close to it. And because I was close to it today, I asked the dealer, because we have that $500 max table in our town, which is limiting. And I've had people in the chat and in comments to my videos say, hey, poor John is limited to the $500 max and he'll never make any money. So I asked them, what can I actually do? Like, what's the legit thing we're allowed to do at this table? And so here's what they told me. My 6 and 8 can go to exactly 500 to pay 683. That's interesting. She said you can do a put bet of $500 with at that level 2 times odds. So I can put the 6 for 500 and put 1,000 in odds on it. I can also buy the 6 separately for $500. So I have a place 6 for 500, a buy 6 for 600, a put with $1,000 in odds, and 500 on the 6 and 8, or the big 6 and 8. So I can get about $4,000 on the table on any number if I wanted to. Even at a $500 max table, you can be creative, and they will let you do. I thought was cool: a put, a buy, and a place as 3 separate bets plus the big 6 and 8 for those numbers there. So if you're really, and today I had somebody at the table, Ian, who you all know from chat, hit 8 6s today on one of his rolls. So we were flirting with that. The next press would have been table max press, and that's why I said, what's my next move? And I think asking out loud, what's my next move, caused the 7. I'm not saying that happened, but it's possible. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. So don't let table max scare you that bad. There's actually a lot of flexibility in that. And I didn't realize you could do all 3 bet types.
Wow. Well, I once had a conversation with Clay from East Coast about put bets, and I'm going to be quite honest with you. You don't see them that often, and I believe it was on your channel one day during Coffee and Craps. You discussed how the put bets work, but that's interesting to try to get away from table maximum, because I go on a cruise at the end of August, and they have a table maximum there as well. I'm going to have to check that out.
And that's your option. You can max out your place bet. You can for sure put bet it. You can go max put bet, and whatever odds they'll let you go behind. So my casino limits us to 2x odds on the put bet when you're at max. Otherwise, I could go like $100 with $1,000. Like, that's what they do. Basically, that's how they figure the max out. But yeah, I didn't realize I had that third bet. I didn't know that a buy bet was a third option at the same time. I would have thought place or buy, but place and buy is actually a thing. So you can get money out there if you need to.
Well, that's interesting. We also have with us tonight, and it looks like my Zoom may be just a little messed up tonight. John, I talked to you earlier. I had a little bit of problems, did some upgrading, but let me just see if the actual Zoom is working now. Can either one of you say something? Chris, can you say something?
Hey, Jeff, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. And you guys can't see it. It's down in the lower corner. But let me introduce him this way. Let me get to introduce this gentleman this way. Does anybody recognize this screen right here? If you recognize that screen right there, well, then you're going to know exactly what is going on there and who the guest is. Guys, last night, I'm going to leave it up there just for 1 second. Greg sent me this morning. Last night, Greg came on, and he was a real gentleman, and he came on, he played on the show, he did his, I think he called it the Super Andre, or what did you call it, Greg? What kind of play did you call that?
I pretty much just said it's Andre on steroids.
Steroids, that's what you said, yes. And unfortunately, I was rooting for you. You were the first shooter. I had a long roll, which I have queued up. I don't know if we're going to get time to get to it today. I had a 41 or 42 roller last night on the 7 out, and you went broke before time, but Chris and I did a dual 6-way match, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But Greg, welcome. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I want to congratulate Waylon on the win. He did just awesome. And listen, I kind of won because I got an extra 3 hours of sleep. I saw how long that thing ran.
All right. So, Dylan, I kind of cut you off and haven't had an opportunity for you to say anything because we sort of got right into John's story. What'd you think about what John said about the put bets? And you want to make any comments about last night over the weekend? We played 2 nights in a row. This is our 3rd night.
Yeah. The only thing on the put and the buy, all on all 3 options on that 6 and 8. Every dealer that I've talked to said it's not worth buying a 6 and 8 for buying it. Mm-hmm. But other than that, just to have it out there, just for extra money to do that, then that's cool. But if you're on a different number, the 4 or 5, 4, 5, 9, or 10, then that would be super advantageous to do all 3. But that was my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, she said she's got a guy that has done this a number of times where he's taken a 6 to 500, taken the next hit and done a put bet. The next hit put bet with max odds. The next hit, he buys it. So he kind of like tiers them in there as he's taking his winnings, but he's taking $1,000 off the table every time. It was fascinating. I didn't know that you could have that many options simultaneously. So live and learn, right? That's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. And
for all you degenerates out there that want to go to table max or bust, right?
Exactly. And going back to for Big AZ, when you won that, you got lucky twice. I don't know if you covered that second time going into the field. That field saved your bacon, and Big AZ with that Duracell super chat is really what helped you, tremendously. And Duracell, that was a very interesting super chat because it paid 10 times whatever AZ had to predict what he was going to throw before he threw it, and if it did, and it came with whatever he called, then it paid 10 times that for that specific number, and that was just no one's ever done that super chat before, so I love that, and it was really cool. So it was you find
So what you're saying, Dylan, is that you were late to the game and you didn't see me because I actually played that part first. So you actually missed that?
Yeah, I just got on just a little bit ago.
Okay.
I got in.
Let's just take a look.
I got to go with a yo. I have to go with the yo. 4263, left-handed. Yo.
No.
Unbelievable.
So now, did that refresh your memory? Was that okay?
Well, no, I knew about it, and what was even stranger? What was even stranger is that Big AZ hit that. I believe he hit it. I know he hit it twice. But he called it.
He actually hit 4 numbers. He called 4 numbers all night and hit them. He hit four.
Oh, he hit 4.
In the show.
Okay, I recall.
Yeah.
I know that I recall 2. I know he hit a 7. I know he called a 7 and hit a 7, and I remember the 11. So I don't remember. I don't remember the others, but those 2 were vivid.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and welcome Chris. Chris hadn't had an opportunity to say anything. Chris Dice-Dejan, I understand. I haven't seen your trip report because I've been busy the last 10 days, but Clay told me last night that I really got to see it because there's something you say in that video, so don't give it away, but welcome, my friend. And I think you played today at the resorts. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, I went back today after last week. This week was not as good of a session, but the story time will be fun, I'll tell you that, because we had a not so friendly face at the table again this week, and he was even worse this week than he was last week to Clay and I, to the point where girlfriend Dejan almost knocked him out. So it was it's a good time.
Oh my! Well, we wouldn't want to see you
yeah,
knock him
last
out.
week I played with Clay and Lou last Sunday, and it was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, I
You
apologize
gamble
to
in Philly,
everybody.
you better bring your gloves, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't
Right, Chris?
know. I was sitting there and I was trying to mind my own business, but it was hard. I'll tell you, it was hard.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I can't do anything about the Zoom screen. You guys are going to be squeezed together. Greg, you're in there. East Coast CRAPS, Clay just joined us, and Dice-Dejan. And Clay, before I get back to the show, do you want to say anything to the audience? And anybody who wants to get in, it's really simple. Go to the description below and hit the Zoom button. Wait a few minutes. I'll let you in from the green room. You can come in and join us. Everybody is welcome. We'd love to have other people than YouTube content providers. So, please come on in and talk to us. So, Clay, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just came in because I seen Chris there, and I knew there was a story. And while I was waiting for in the green room, Chris told the story, and I got in and missed it. I don't know what happened.
Well, I think he could probably repeat it, but this was the story from today, not the story from when you played last week. That I haven't seen the video,
yes.
So. Yeah, I don't want to give that away. Anybody in the chat, don't give that away. Let me see that for my own, because Clay says it's a really good report. And I apologize, Chris. I've just been super busy. There's a couple of you know what's going on, and it'll all be over with real soon here. So welcome. Anybody else wants to get into the chat, it's just really super easy to get in there. All you have to do is just get the Zoom link, come on in. Let me see you ding dong in my ear, and I will let you in. So with that said, Let's see. Where are we going to start tonight? There is no special guest specifically tonight. I do have a couple lined up that's going to come on the show. It's just an inconvenient time with the summer and everything, which is one of the things we're going to talk about before we get to the end of the show today, is when the next show is going to be. So let's go start dialing. We're going to recap the weekend, and we're going to talk basically YouTube craps. So if you take a look at what took place, John all week doing coffee and craps, and I think you were 5 days this week, John, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was all 5 days. I was basically listening in my ear most of the time. Yeah, and then you got Arnell with Dice Grinders, going live at on Wednesday nights with Live Fantasy Craps. There were several live sessions that other YouTube content providers did. Dylan, Chris and I, we had our match 3. Chris came out victorious. I was 0 for 3. Dylan was 1 for 2, and Chris was 2 for 1. And then last night, John, I'd like to get your take and Dylan's take on what you thought we did with that 6-man. Now, granted, nobody expects a 42 roller, to happen, and that did put us back quite a bit. And once Chris and I got rolling, we were able to pick up and get the rolls going. There was a couple chats in there saying it was taking too long. But what did you think of that last night? Does that look like something we could do for team play?
Yeah, I think the format was good. I mean, as far as like your table, Chris's table, each of you taking care of 3 guys, logistically that all works, which was good. It is slow. And I think if I look at team play, there's no way you could do team play where everybody gets a chance to throw the dice, or you have 6 players shooting, because although sometimes you could get through it in 10 minutes if everybody sucks, on a 40 or whatever roller like you had last night, with the slow betting, because it can take 6 minutes to get 6 guys bets in. Even if they're going fast, it's still 30 to 45%. Even 30 rolls at that rate of speed is going to be 2 hours. Now, a football game is 3 hours. A baseball game is 3.5 hours. So we're used to watching sporting events. And if we look at this as though it is a sporting event, that's an okay time frame if we can devote the right time to it. But I'm thinking of it more like the World Series of Poker, where it's an hour. And how can we make team play work in an hour and a half max, in the same format that you all did it? So if that means a roll limit or something like that, or some other kind of rule set that we do to make it happen, I don't know. But you and Chris did a great job as far as the handoffs. I think once you got into the groove of, bets are set, move on to the next guy, for the most part, it went pretty quick. And I know Duracell was a little cranky about some of the crosstalk. I think the crosstalk makes it interesting. I like some of the banter back and forth between guys, but not at the expense of the overall time. So we got to find the right way to get a little bit of shit talking in there, a little bit of fun, but not at the expense of it being a 3-hour show. That's the only problem that I had with it. I was in and out. I was at my wife and I wanted to, watch some TV, hang out. So we were watching you guys. I watched you all, had some dinner, came back, and you were still throwing. And I was like, how the hell is Jeff still throwing the dice? It was amazing.
First year.
And so I think a lot of us probably did that. So yeah. And I know it was. And I think that there's this, I think Duracell's in the chat now saying parallel betting versus series betting could work. Like finding a way for you to take your 3 and Chris to take his 3 at the same time, but offline, like somehow, and then kind of repeat the bets.
We had discussed
You know what I mean?
that.
Like that's, yeah. That would help a little bit. It's just time, right? At 3 hours is a long time to give up for most people, especially on a Friday or Saturday night when they want to be with their wives. So that's the only, I think, downside to it. But y'all did a great job. The betting was great. The rhythm was good. Your dealing was on point and all that. I see Vince, Crapsy won't work. I mean, that's the problem. Crapsy will not work. Until they upgrade the app, you can't use Crapsy for this or WinCraps, because you can bet, but you don't see the bets until it's too late, right? You want to see the bets in real time to make decisions, right? That's part of the magic of playing against somebody or team versus team, is seeing what's happening, right? In football, you can adjust. Quarterbacks make audibles, defense make changes in response to the alignments. Craps can be the same way. We just got to do it fast and make it not like cheating. I don't know what the secret sauce there is yet, but I think there's a lot of good ideas we saw last night in chat. I've got some of my own, and technology-wise, we got it nailed. Right now, it's about rhythm, and I think we can figure that out. We have time.
All right, Dylan, what did you think?
I liked it. I thought it flowed well. There's not much to be others to be said other than that. I just really did think it flowed well. We didn't talk over each other and everything. And once we established the all bet set rule, then the only thing that slowed us down just a hair more was that Chris would say, after your third person, and then you jump from one dealer to the other, and then jumping back, you always verified that, and I don't think that we could cut that out, and that would save additional time. Where if we already know who the third person is, and they say same bet, and then we don't say, well, okay, over to you, Jeff, or whatever. You should just automatically just go. I mean, because you should know that. That's my 2 cents. You see what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you. We've just been joined, and I apologize for the Zoom, but one of the players last night, if you want to unmute yourself, Tim. Tim was there with us last night and played, and let's get his attention on it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this Craps chat talking about this, but for those of you that didn't see it, you can go to Sideshow Gamble, or you can go to Mid-Atlantic Craps and watch the replay. Just fast forward about 8 minutes in it, the play starts. There's a pretty long roll, the first one, 42 roller. After that, it goes like normal Craps, but it's like Arnell said last night. That was what you're waiting for. If you're at the Craps table, you want to have that roll. Anyway, Tim, welcome. I can't really let him see you, but you're there, so let's hear what you thought.
Well, that's all right. I just wanted to jump in and say that, first of all, it was a great time last night. The roll was amazing. The group was good. I thought it was real interesting that of course I'm the only one in the group that was not a content provider, but I want to make sure that anybody that's out here watching now knows that it's you guys are super welcoming, and it made it easy on me. And it's something that I think that we need to promote and get more people like me to jump in so that we can build this community a little bit bigger. And the other thing is that I thought it was really interesting that everybody on the table had a different dynamic. Everybody was shooting for the moon in a different way. And it was funny how it all played out in the end.
No, it was. And I just got a text. And to answer your question, John, I'm having an issue with the Zoom app with the vMix. I didn't have time to fix it. You and I discussed it earlier today, but Tim is there. I don't know that I could probably I guess when somebody's talking, I could probably do well, that's not going to work either. What are these settings here? Does that?
I'm a little off to one side on Chris.
There you go. So no, yeah, he's there. It's just that I'm having an issue tonight with that, but we're all here. We're all in Craps chat. We've got 4 people. Anybody else that wants to join, in the description below is a Zoom app. I'll see you come in. I'll hear the ding dong to let you go, and we'll get you into the show. So with that said, I thought last night went well. Chris, Dice Dejan, did you watch any of it at all last night?
I did. I thought it was honestly great. Between you and Chris, first off, hats off to you guys for dealing all that, and to everyone who played. I thought it was really entertaining. I didn't really have any issues with the time between bets and stuff. I will confess I did fall asleep about 2 hours into it because it was like 1 a.m. my time.
Yes.
And I was up since like 4 a.m., so I was tired and I fell asleep, but I actually woke up and you guys were still playing. So I thought it was great though. I really did like it. And the one thing that I don't think you can replicate with, using like an automated software or something is like the banter between like the players honestly makes it so enjoyable to watch. So I don't think you can duplicate that if you don't have people telling their bets in and stuff, and the side comments coming in. So I thought you guys did a great job. I thought it was fun. I'd definitely watch it again. And I thought it was great. So hats off to you guys.
All right. Well, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
But my question is this, and this is really for the guys in chat, and maybe for y'all here too. But I can see this going a couple of ways, right? I think Duracell might have. I forget who it was that said it last night, but I can see this going 2 ways. One would be kind of a team thing, right, where you have teams of random people and non-YouTubers, right? Of course, anybody can make a team, and then more of a World Series thing where you're doing the 6-on-6 or the 3-on-3 like you did last night, but it's all, the World Series guys, like the top players or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to word that right. Like the all-star team versus like 1-on-1 6 players versus a 3-on-3 team match. and you'd have like 7 teams of 3 guys that are like in a league. I can see both being interesting for different reasons. And I think it'd be fun to watch, Vince and Skill and you and AZ and Chris and everybody, battle it every single week. Also fun to watch 3 of our subscribers on a team together playing another team of subscribers 3-on-3. Whole different audience, whole different format, and a different level of excitement to me, I think, right? And do you all agree? And again, in chat, let us know what that feels like as 2 separate shows and not trying to make, one magical, potion here.
All right. So anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, if you don't mind, can I?
Sure, go ahead, Greg. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think you did on the technology. I thought you guys did a bang up job. You were. I know guys in the chat may not understand this, but you have a lot going on your end, and you were booking those bets reasonably fast. Now, I mean, you spent 41 rolls, and kudos on that. Basically backing the car up over me, and that made the time go a lot longer. So you can't be blamed for that going 3 hours. I mean, it is what it is. But you guys, I thought you handled it like champs. And I was very happy to be there with you guys. It was amazing. And we had a lot of different representation, different play styles. And it was a lot of fun.
Well, I had a fun time doing it. Chris and I talked a little bit after the show, and the technology is what's there. I think whoever's going to host these type of things, I can tell you guys, I don't always want to host them. 3 nights in a row of live shows, 2 and 3 hours long, is just too much. John, if I had a hat on, you'd still see my bald head, but my tip it all for you to how you do every show, 5 days a week, and then you do some live stuff, and you cut up your edits, and you put them all out. Most people don't have any clue what it takes to do a show like this, let alone what Chris and I did, and your Crapsathon, John. I mean, there's just so much planning that goes into it. So real quick before we continue this thought
30
process,
hours a week, Jeff. You know that. Yeah.
Yep. Let me just say this. If I see some questions popping up here and it's going so fast in the chat, I can't see it. If you have a question, put a Q. If you want to send something to one of the hosts, put their initials or maybe something, an @ sign or something, so I can cue the question up and we can come back to it. So guys, feed the questions back in. If you put a question like almost 170 of them ago, repost them so I can see them again if you have a question. I'm sorry, John, I cut you off. What did you say there?
I forgot.
It's the second time you've done that to me. I apologize. You know me. Anyway, we're going to go back and talk about that because Arnell was with us a little bit last night, and he said it was definitely nice to see the different style of bettings. If you remember, last week we talked about instead of having a competition show, bringing 3 people on, letting them play their own strategies, sort of like like the previous week where Greg was victorious with his Andre and against I know. I can't remember who the players were. Dylan might have been one, and I forgot who the other one was. But in any event, I think instead of just having competition, it's nice to bring 3 people on. And in advance, you tell them, okay, tonight I'm going to play this strategy and this strategy combined, depending how the table is. And like you said in your show, one of your shows this week, John, we have a dark side, we have a light side, we have somebody in the middle or doing anything. I think that would be really great to do.
Mm-hmm. Totally. That'd be so much fun.
Yes. Yep, it would be. So before we move on with that, let's see. We'll make sure everybody's still here. I think I fixed the problem with the Zoom screen, and I apologize, guys. This is technology in the works. Queuing up some questions right now. So, Dylan, 3 days. And I think I called you this afternoon, and you were playing something. You said you were playing a game, but 3 days. What did you think about the last 3 days, including where we are tonight?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. I mean, if you get your craps once you play craps and you get your craps fix, it's all gold. So I'm still itching. I'm still itching to play. So I'm not burned out at all.
All right. Darryl Sell, I appreciate this. Darryl Sell doing his normal with the 45 watching, and 21 likes. We appreciate that, Duracell. And I really appreciate the super chat because I was able to beat Skill for the third time and however many times I was ever able to beat him. So, guys, remember, put a Q in front of it. Mid-Mo, I've got your question queued up. We'll get to it in just a little bit. So, John, let's talk, and we'll get past this. Just one second. Dylan's got his own channel. I think everybody on here has their own channel, except for Tim and Clay, although they have channels. From a standpoint of a YouTube content provider, it's hard in order to get people to specifically watch and I don't want to say share the videos, but what is important to all of us YouTube content providers is to click that like button. And if you don't even like the video, then as John says, click the dislike button. But it affects the algorithms, and you don't have to do it specifically for this show right now. But when you're watching something and you don't watch it all the way through, or you're like Clay and he puts it on 1.5 speed when I run my videos, always remember to hit the like button because we're trying to get these channels to grow, and sometimes they plateau. And we've all experienced a plateau. And I really would like to see Chris at Sideshow Gamble get to the 1K because he's doing an awesome job. I was watching his premiere a little while ago with Dice Dr. Dan, and they he said in there about what they were doing and how they were doing the videos, and it was recorded probably. It was after Chris and I talked, but there's a lot that goes into that. So, John, do you have any input that you'd like to share? Because I know that you do a lot, but you do more than just your two channels.
Yeah, YouTube is a bear. Like, one thing we noticed, and I got to say this, both Chris's, right? Chris Dice DGen and Chris Sideshow are amazing channels, right? You guys do so much work and you put so much into it, and I look forward to every video. And everything that you do with YouTube matters. Like, YouTube is a big data collection company. What they do is they do data. And if you've ever watched the Netflix series, the Netflix show, The Social Network, you should watch The Social Network. It teaches you kind of how their algorithm works a little to some degree. Every like, every dislike, every comment, every chat tells YouTube that the video was interesting to somebody. And then what they do is they say, well, if Kevin Smith liked the video, then YouTube says, well, what else has Kevin Smith liked? And what does everybody who also liked what Kevin Smith likes like? And then what happens is the next time Kevin logs in, he sees videos that are similar. And that's why, like, for me, I got stuck in a rabbit hole the other day watching speed metal bass players, right? My entire feed is now metal bass players because YouTube figures out what you're into and it feeds that to you. Well, for us as content providers, the more people that are liking our stuff and commenting, and the comments mean a lot, more than you think. If you interact with a video, like by hitting the like button or writing a comment, YouTube goes, oh, that video wasn't just watched by a person, it was interacted with by a person. It drove them to some emotional response, and it ranks it higher. And it just helps anybody coming in, random person saying, hey, how do I win at craps? Well, guess what? My video, Chris's video, Jeff's video, Mid-Mo, they're showing up because people are touching our videos and doing things. And as a computer programmer, I can respect what they're doing. That amount of data that they collect on us is a lot. And YouTube is in the business of making money through advertising. So what they want to do is put a video that they think you're going to watch the whole thing so they can show you 2 or 3 ads during the video. So that they're in the business of making money. You're in the business of telling them what you want to see. And then that all comes back to us as subscribers and as views and everything else. So we see it big time. I can tell you this, the ProCraps channel has grown by about 300 subscribers in the last month. The Casino Gaming TV has grown by 3. Like, the amount of growth is exponential on a channel where there's not live videos going. So to answer your way first question, Jeff, the live videos destroy channels. And this channel, Casino Gaming TV, proves that out. This channel is completely stagnant. Even though we've got, 40 people watching now, I get 50 people on the morning shows, lots of chats, lots of comments. YouTube doesn't care because it's live. So the guys who are doing the rest, make sure you watch them, click like or dislike, leave a comment on every video. Duracell has this thing down. He is driving you to help us, and it really does. It makes a huge difference. You have no idea the difference that it makes behind the scenes for the YouTube algorithm to be fed and put us in front of people. That's the thing. And I think that I do it. I take you guys for granted sometimes. I forget. I watch Skill's video. I watch Chris's stuff, and I forget sometimes to leave a comment. And I got to remember myself to go back and leave comments, because if you don't do that, right, YouTube doesn't know that I liked Chris's stuff. right? And if somebody who likes a lot of things likes something else, the data collection is it's an important piece of it. So you can't go wrong by helping us out.
Okay.
And we're not saying to send us money. We're saying click a button. Click a button.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, and you see what Waylon just put up there. He joined us a little late. Waylon, you missed it. I ran some video from the last couple of days for us, and anyway, we won't talk about that. But he talks about how much work you guys put into your artwork. Chris does a lot of artwork too, and I think the presentation is nice, but really it's our community that's going to continue to support our community in order to be able to make things happen. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to one of our first questions, which I think there's a guy by the name of Bald Cajun that's in your Discord. So let's finish with this conversation here, John.
Yeah.
Your Discord, CasinoGaming.tv, is very important, and it's growing just as well as your channel is. And I actually have you've provided all of the craps channels with their own, not craps channels, the crap shows with their own sections for the people that host them. And I got a question from Bald Cajun, who is a member and a subscriber of all of us, and it's going to be very close to this question from Midmo Yo that I'm going to put up here on the screen. And that question just says, can a version of Stadium Craps be played with all of us playing? So why I bring that Stadium Craps question up is because I've talked to several people that have actually played, not the bubble craps, the individual bubble craps. I've talked to people who have played the stadium style, and I have too, not very long. But Bald Cajun wanted to know, and I'll look it up here in just a second when we start talking about it. He wanted to know, do you think that's the wave of the future? And are you guys, you people, oops, I'm sorry, everybody out there, are you going to be playing both of them? And for what reason? You know, a starter person can play it for $1 a bet. So I'm going to open that up right here, and we'll see what the chat says in a minute. I have to fix something on the back end here, but let's go with Chris. Chris, do you spend any time at playing any of that stadium stuff in Atlantic City?
I do not. I don't think I've seen it in the casinos I've been anyway. The roll to win was there for a little bit, and then they kind of got rid of it. Some of the casinos still have it, but I personally don't think any of the casinos in Atlantic City that I've been to anyway recently have the stadium craps. I haven't seen it personally.
Well, you know, in the Trop, they've got that small little section where they have 4 games up, and that happens to be one of them, and I consider that mini stadium. Have you played any of that?
I have not, no. I do like the concept of it, so I have to go to the Trop now and check it out. I haven't been to the Trop in a long time.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but you know, with that said, anybody else have any experience with the stadium? And I'm going to look up the question here in just a second. Anybody else have a comment about the stadium style versus real craps?
I love it. I mean, I'm going to be the biggest hypocrite in the world, so I get a backhand from somebody's girlfriend, Chris, for saying this, but I hate roll to win. And I always said roll to win sucks because, there's one dealer who's like a janitor basically dealing the dice, and it's not like a real thing. And the vibe at a roll to win table sucks. It sucks big time. Stadium craps, same problem. It's one dealer who's not a craps dealer. So it steals all the jobs. I still don't like that piece of it. But I had more fun playing stadium craps at Planet Hollywood than I did playing regular craps. It was amazing. Like the table's in the middle. It's a real table. It's like an 8-foot long table, and it's in the middle of like probably 15 or so betting stations around it. So you get up off your station, you go to the middle, and you throw on a real table, right? The dealer marks the number. Everybody's betting on a computer, so you don't have to see everybody's bets, but you can tell that they're all stoked when you hit a 5, and you can run around and high five everybody, and everybody's, clacking drinks and doing the thing. The energy at that table was fan-freaking-tastic. And it was a $5 minimum action table. So I was betting $6 across and drinking for free all night. It was the best. I had so much fun at that thing. That is the wave of the future. That's going to be the new low roller craps. Yeah, for sure. The energy level the energy level at Stadium was so different than Roll to Win. Roll to Win is like a freaking morgue. It's awful. But Stadium just has this interesting vibe because you're like step up, you're higher than everybody else. They can watch you throw. You can like look at everybody and kind of make, you know, like voodoo hands and make your throw. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I made the big YOLO cash out there. So that was, I also like, cause I made money on it, but I'm all in on Stadium Craps for sure. And not the bubble craps version, the one where you throw. Yeah.
Roll to win is like video poker.
You said, say that again, Tim.
I said roll to win is like video poker. You just everybody's separate and they're separated from each other. I haven't seen a Stadium Craps, but that's the only reason I go to the table is for the vibe.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and find a picture of it and put it up so you can see what it looks like so everybody gets a chance to see it, but it's cool. And I think that to answer like Vince's suggestion from an hour ago, that's the use for Crapsy. One person rolling on camera, everybody betting on Crapsy. That's the exact doppelganger for Stadium Craps. It's one person rolling where we can all see it, but we're all betting on our own terminals. That would be fantastic. That'd be a great show. I think live Stadium Craps would be super cool. And a matter of fact, I wish that company would give us the software to run with the actual UI so you could kind of get used to it. But very, very cool.
All right, I went back and looked at Ball Cajun's question, and basically it mimicked a chat I had on the screen about what we thought about all those combination electronic games going. And I think Tim said that it's like playing video poker. Before we move on, does anybody else have any experience with any of that? So we get to some real craps talk.
The only experience I have is at my stadium here in St. Louis. The Stadium Craps is a bubble machine where it's just by itself, and it's multiplayer where it's black. They've got 3 games in one: roulette, blackjack, and craps, and it's a big bubble machine that just does it where everybody can see it. So it's not like what John's describing at all. So what I was thinking he was describing was nothing with like what I was saying, but it's a multiplayer bubble craps machine basically, but you have other options as well.
That's the same thing that Jeff was describing that's in the Tropicana. That's the only time I've ever played it is with Jeff. I didn't even know it was there. It's the same way though. It's a multi-station bubble crap machine.
Yes, that is. Sorry guys. As far as that type of electronic game, I just was looking. I was going back to the queue because somebody else had a comment about the electronic game type of play, and you go back to the question that Duracell said here. They're comparing. I'm just going to put it on the screen. I think it has something to do with what we're saying here. Crapsy's, being a full version of it, utilizes a Stadium Craps format. That's true. And if we're looking for something to do team play with, now back to what we're doing in our community here, there's got to be some options, because I do admit that what happened last night was fun. It was hard work for the 2 people doing it. It was fun, but it did take a while to set up that. We do have to refine it, just like we did Friday night fights. We have to refine it, get the rules down, and make sure that maybe there's a less than a 30-second time limit to at least announce your bets, unlike some people that's on the screen here that likes to take forever to announce his bets. That was you, Dylan. I was talking about you. So anybody else got any
I said 160 across. I mean, how hard is that? And then double that. It's not that difficult, and it doesn't take that long to say.
No, I understand that.
If I say 550 inside, then they don't know what that is. I mean, I can't sit here and break it all down. I mean, but I know what I want, So I don't know how to describe. I don't know how many other ways to, if you want 880 or whatever, how do you say that?
Well, you don't say 128 inside and then you stutter. And never mind, we'll get to that back later. Anyway, I'm just picking on you, Dylan. I'm picking on you. Let's keep this moving, because some of our guests here aren't here to talk about electronic stuff. There is a couple questions in here that if you want to put a question, a Q or a question mark will work. Q or a question mark. I'm starting to pick some of them up now. I'm going to put this in here before we go back. So Biff has 2 questions. I'm going to put this first question up here, and maybe John might be able to approach this standpoint of, occasionally a feature of some other type of table game the way that Ken over at Ken Knows Gambling is an idea. I know, John, on your Casino Gaming TV, it's named Casino Gaming TV, but we've been concentrating mostly on craps, and I really hope that Anthony gets his schedule straight, because I certainly do miss that Thursday night show.
Me too. Well, the idea, Casino Gaming TV, is for all the games, right? But we're all craps players. We're all friends, and it's our core competency. So right now, that's what we do. I do have some friends who do some YouTube channels for slots and for some other things. I actually met a guy who's got a YouTube channel on blackjack. I'd like to add some more stuff. I just need people that want to donate time. You know what I mean, and help us through it. We're doing pretty good as far as like having good show formats, and I'm able to like kind of email out the like the slides and the look and feel for the shows, and it works well. Now just about beating the bushes a little bit, and it's hard. Like I said, it's for all of us, we're in 20 plus 30 hours a week to do these channels, and to spend more time trying to find people to do other games is hard. That's why I was talking to Chris, like, can I buy your roulette wheel? And I'll start doing some roulette stuff, but I'd rather have a roulette guy doing roulette stuff, and really like having, the same, I want like a rum and roulette night where somebody's doing roulette shit every single night, like I do the coffee show, and have that be its own thing, and have a roulette league and a Friday night fights for roulette and for blackjack. And eventually we want people that have the skills to deal those things, do it. That's where this channel is going to go. This channel is going to be enormous at some point, but not today. Today,
well, it's like I told
working
Chris,
a job and a side, you know what I mean? It's hard.
It's like I told Chris the other day, what we did over the weekend, we have to crawl before we walk. I'm sorry I cut somebody off. Was somebody else saying something?
That's all good.
Well, the only other thing I was saying was that, we can still get with the dealer school with Dave and them, and they can, we can collaborate that way, and that would help their dealers in training, and if they could help set that up. I mean, that would be something that I think would go over. So you ought to give that a shot.
All right. So let's go on to another question here. We get come back over here. Biff has one more question, and I think this is probably a decent question, because we've got people from all around the country. I don't see anybody from overseas with us now because of the time of the show. But Biff's next question is about: do you notice that the casinos are getting more crowded lately? If so, see Southern California, but summer is here and it's a busy time. Guys, I haven't played in a while, so I'm going to let the people that have played regularly. Tim, do you want to take that? I saw you raise your hand. Do you see something?
What? Well, I was just unmuting because I'm out here on the East Coast, and I know that I've got the Indian casinos down in North Carolina, and they're packed, just completely packed. And I just was up in West Virginia at a casino, which was the complete opposite. It was barren. So I think it's by region whether or not you're getting any action that way. The one in West Virginia is right up against DC, and the DC built are still, a little tight on wanting to be around people. So down in North Carolina with the India casino, it's complete opposite. They want everybody to come down there because it's their only money driver for the location.
All right. Anybody else want to take a stab at this before we get into some real craps talk? It's already almost an hour into the show with the pre-show.
Chris? I'll just say Atlantic City's been packed for the past 2 weeks. I mean, you're waiting to get on pretty much every single table, and that's when they have them open. Like I said, I think it was on the last Craps chat. I mean, Harris had 5 tables open with a line every single table, like, what was that, 3 weeks ago or whatever? So, I mean, Atlantic City's packed.
Yeah, it's not that way during the day through the week, though. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, tables were wide open. Yes, tables were wide.
Yep, I haven't been playing here.
For me, it's nothing. For me, it's nothing. My casinos are like, well, at nighttime it's busy, of course. But I went this morning with Ian at 9 o'clock in the morning. and we were the only guys at the table. We threw the dice. He and I and his wife threw back to back to back to back 4 times in a row before somebody else showed up. So, local casinos in the morning, great.
Yeah,
but that's
the way
again
it always
local, regional, whatever. AC and Vegas are freaking packed.
Right. All right. Anybody else will take a stab before we move on to something else? All right. To answer Midmo Yo's question, if you just saw it, just went across there, guys. If you have a channel that's not scrolling and I missed it, by all means, just say it in the chat if I could see it. Put a question mark or something there, or send me an email, jeff@midatlanticraps.com. I'll be glad to add it. I added yours on the fly there, Churro, so you are added there as well. So let's go on to, let's see, what was the next question? Oh, I'm going to acknowledge this for you, John, get this one out of the way. I think that this was a, oops, sorry about that, guys. 2 things at one time. Dual screen. I really like that.
Yeah.
You know, can we all acknowledge
Love
that
it.
May the 4th be with you is the greatest YouTube username or handle ever. How'd you come up with that, Tim?
I'm so pissed I didn't think of that.
If you're talking, Tim, you're muted.
I think it was sometime real close to May the 4th, and I said 4th.
Yep.
That's really close to 4s. I'm gonna, and then it just threw it in there. But I thought it was hilarious. And I think John, I think you said I needed a T-shirt. But yeah, I was thinking about that myself. You know, you could have a dark side T-shirt and a light side T-shirt with May the 4th.
Oh yeah.
So.
All right.
Oh yeah, may the, and I'll make it like a hard 4. May the hard 4 be with you, and have the dice be the 4. That'd be fantastic.
Hey,
I'll split the profits with you. How about that?
Yeah.
There you go.
I like that, John. So I queued that one. We're going to move on to the next question. Here's the next question. I'm going to start out with Greg down at 555s. I know that he's not playing anymore, but he's still in the chat, still in the group here with us. So the question is for everybody, including the chat. You people in the chat, start answering this from a group standpoint. Larger or smaller tables, and which do you prefer? And I'm going to throw the question in there, why? So we're going to go to Greg down at 5s.
Yeah, you know, I've pretty much, I spent most of my life playing at about a 12 to 14 foot table. So usually 12 is the standard. You know, call me sentimental. I just like to play it. It's a nice full size table. Got a lot of players in there, and it feels like home to me. So, yeah, that's what I like to play on. I don't mind an 8 foot table if that's all that's available. But, you know, I'm very much about the nostalgia of the whole thing. So, yeah, that's what I would choose.
All right. Okay. Anybody else want to take a stab at that?
Well, I know I practice on a 12-foot table at home, and when I get to the casino and it's a 10-foot table, then I have to adjust myself up to, you know, stick left 2 or stick left 3, depending on what it is. But then if I turn around, the only open table, God forbid, is a crapless table, and it's 16 feet long, and I can't even play on that table.
Yeah, that's what they have at the Foxwoods, a 16-foot table along with their 12s or 14s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, 16? Really? I didn't even know they made 16-foot tables.
Oh, they do, and I'm telling you,
Oh, dude,
they get 8 to 10 people around a side. It's crazy.
See, you know, the thing for me
carrier
is
is awful.
I don't worry about any of this dice influence stuff. So the size of the table for those purposes means very little to me. But, I mean, 16 foot, that seems excessive.
You almost have to take a step. You have to take a running start to throw it. It's ridiculous.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
So far away.
They allow overhand throws on the 16.
I got a funny story about a 16-foot table in Bally's in Atlantic City. First time that I'd ever been on a table that big, and the only place available was straight out. And I'm used to practicing from 8 feet. And the first time I threw the dice, they landed in the middle of the come area on a 9, and the guy said 0.9 on a very suspicious roll. I like to never got them dice back there to the back wall. Used to playing from 8 foot.
Oh my!
Comes to a slow roll on the hard 4.
Yeah, let's have somebody else answer the question, because I'm watching the chat. Nobody seems to be commenting about that as they normally do. They got their own conversation going on. Looks like Chris from Dice Degens. He was dual watching last night. He's chatting and he's in here. So Chris, what do you prefer? From your standpoint.
I prefer shorter tables. 12-foot is good. 10-foot's fine. If I'm on a 14-foot table, you won't see me shoot unless they stick right, stick left, one or two max. I feel that when I throw from like the hook or from straight out on a 14-foot table, I have to push too hard, and the dice spin too much, and I can't get them to land consistently. It doesn't work out too well for me. And I'm trying to work on it with the new shooting setup that I built, because I can move this. I've made a mobile shooting station that I can move and measure exactly how far I am to the back wall. So I'm working on it, and I had a chat with Clay, and he gave me some tips. So I'm working on that, but I prefer shorter tables myself and hard tables. I don't like bouncy tables.
All right, let's head over to Chris from Sideshow Gamble. Chris, it's been so long since I've talked to you. What do you prefer?
Well, Jeff, I think I prefer 12. I when I was going and picking the table that I ended up getting, I was going back and forth between a 12 and a 14. But a lot of the casinos I play at is a 12-foot. So I prefer the 12. I think it's as Greg was saying, it's right in the middle between the 14s and the 8s. And I think if you know how to play on a 12-foot table, you can adjust to a 14 or you can adjust to an 8. Depending if you're like Greg, who's going to baseball throw those things at the back wall, or if you're wanting to try and do your dice setting. So, but a 16-foot table, that's a daggone aircraft carrier. You can land a plane on it.
Yeah, somebody just said that in the chat there. So, Dylan, what do you prefer? What do they have in St. Louis?
They've got mostly 12s and 14s. Okay. So that's what I'm used to. So the majority of it's 12.
Well, there's a question that's going to be coming up. I might start talking about it now. From my standpoint, the table that I have, which is located that way, is it's not really a craps table. I call it my studio table. I made it 10 foot. I measured where Clay and I play, back wall to where I stand, stick left, one or two. It fit inside this studio room that I have here. And I made it to those dimensions. I like a 12-foot table. I can't stand shooting from either of the hooks or straight out. I hate it. It's just me. I prefer stick right one or two or stick left one or two. With that said, let's see. Got a couple questions coming up here, guys. So anybody else want to finish this one out?
Yeah, well, I think John can attest to the fact that the shorter you're rolling, the softer you can get it down there to the end, and the softer gives you a different result than chucking it from the end.
I mean, the thing about it is you got to be in a comfort zone, right? Whatever's comfortable for you to throw. And for me, I practice from 8-9 feet all the time. That's where my station is. I'm always 8-9 feet out. I'm comfortable with that distance. So at a 12-foot table, I'll only play next to stick. At a 14-foot table, I'll play stick left two. I'll find my spot. I'll wait an hour for my spot if I have to, because I want to be comfortable. Even if dice control, it doesn't work, I want to be comfortable where I am and not have one more thing to think about. And I can always adjust that throw, but I'm not going to get on a table where the conditions aren't advantageous to me. So I'm not going to be at the hook. I'm not going to be at the end. I'm not going to play on a bouncy table. I just won't do it because I want to have one or two or three less things to think about. It's hard enough to frickin' bet right, let alone have to think about where you're standing. So for me, 9 feet, 8 feet away, no matter what table I'm on, that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be that far away from the end wall, left side, and I'll wait for it.
All right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Stand at the end. Yeah.
No, it is. All right, let's move on to another question. Actually, we're gonna stay basically on the same thing. Let me just make sure. Did somebody else want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, look at that. Okay. That's a great question you've got out there. I want to hear that answer. Yeah.
Which one did I missed it? I'm in my queues. Which one, John? I'll put it up.
The one you
have
got
up here now?
Made by your question.
Oh, did I already put that up there?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did put it up there. So we'll go with this one before we get back to the next one. And for those of you that's on the panel, you can't read it. It's for Sideshow Gamble. We need more backstory on your table. How many trips? I'm not sure what the BR means. Strategy used to win on the table. We need more info. And Chris, you threw enough in above too tall to call rolls in the last 3 days to Pass the dice, man. Pass the dice.
Oh, so there's just a trampoline spot on the table. I was telling Dan about it earlier. It hits that, and they just launch. So to Midmo's question, it was one trip paid for the table. Now, it was probably one of my best trips I've ever had. I started with $1,000 bankroll, and I went up there. I was up in Cripple Creek, and it was just one of those days I caught a really good roll, and I was betting right. And by the time I even looked up and I threw big red, I think I was somewhere around 25 to 30 rolls. And by the time I looked up, because I was just betting and like press, half press, pull it back down, and I wasn't looking at my bets. I was just telling them what to do. They would say, "Hey, you got 120, press half of it," and I would just reach down and grab and put in my rail. And when I was done, I was up $5,000 and said, "All right, we're done for the day," and happy-go-lucky for me. It was just I caught it at the right time.
Well, I understand that, and real quick, I put this one up here to be a little banner here, Chris. You do owe Whalen $1,000 because he bet you twice that within 10 rolls you would be too tall to call, and you did it both Friday and Saturday night. So with that, let me head over to the next question. We're going to save the dice influence question for a little bit later. I'm just trying to get to some of these other questions that were sitting here. We talked about some YouTube stuff. We'll put this question up here. We're going to switch back and change gears just one second because I think this is a curious question. I don't want to miss it. And I'm going to answer it first. What factors do YouTubers consider before making decisions on wardrobe and makeup before coming on the live show? The only person I know to wears makeup, that's Dylan. I'm only kidding, Dylan. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm going to answer that for you, Jim. I don't think about it at all. The shirt that I have on now, I think it goes pretty good. This behind me is really a green screen, guys. It's not black like that. I wear a lot of T-shirts when I shoot my videos. Like John sitting there, John must have as big a T-shirt collection as I do because we're wearing these T-shirts. And I'm in the volunteer fire service, and I have shirt, all black or gray. Yep, that's how mine are. So I don't worry about the makeup.
Although
I don't wear makeup, I have no makeup, and as far as my wardrobe goes, maybe that's something we should do. Maybe we should do a series. Look at John. Look at John.
Got the pajama pants on.
He's in pajamas.
Chris has them on too.
That's exactly.
I will tell you right now, guys, I am in a pair of shorts. Yes, they're shorts, gym shorts, with this shirt on and a pair of socks on because I slip on the hardwood floor here, and they kind of grip the floor that's here. But anybody else want to take a stab at that?
Yep. Well, Jim is asking a follow-up in chat. He says it's a legit branding question, right? I do try to wear all my craps related T-shirts when I can. I've got about 15 of them. Between HCS and the color up stuff and my own stuff and the Greg shirt, I try to cycle them through for the morning shows. I really do make an effort to do that where I can.
All right. Before somebody answers, I got two people trying to get in the chat that I don't know. So John, shoot me an email at jeff@midatlanticcraps.com, jeff@midatlanticcraps.com. Then I'd be glad to let you in. And also to Tootsie, you need to send me an email at jeff@midatlanticcraps.com. I need to verify who you are before I can let you onto the show. Anybody else that wants to join, links in the description below. Just click on the Zoom link and you can get in. So to John and Tootsie, jeff@midatlanticcraps.com. Okay, who else wants to take a stab at this question?
Hey, Jeff. I think the biggest thing, I agree with you. I agree with John and everybody. The T-shirts is not really the big thing, but I got to give shout out to John. The PJ bottoms they're a must. Just about every time I'm on the table, I'm always wearing PJ bottoms.
Yeah.
Well,
it's hard to get stuff like lighting. Thing is, legitimately, lighting is hard, right? Getting the light to work against your shirt with your back. I've got the white background so I can wear darker shirts. The shine on my head obviously is a thing, but we all have to fight some of this stuff because you got to be, visible on the camera. We don't wear makeup, but we have to be aware of it for sure. It's definitely a thing that you have to think about when you're going on camera. I know that, it does matter. It is the persona that you're putting out there, how you look.
Some people do put off a glare.
What are you talking about?
Whatever.
John, is he talking about you and me? Is he talking about you and me?
Well,
Whatever.
I always say with bald people, they don't put marble tops on cheap furniture.
That is a good one. So while we're out back on the YouTube channel creation, I'm gonna put, if Brian's still here, I think he is still here because he just answered Vince's question. I'm gonna put a question up here from Brian from Hawaii Crap Shooters, and he wants to know for everybody here on the panel and in the chat, if you'd like to too, what have you found to be the most difficult thing to do as a Craps YouTube creator? What I'm going to say, Brian, I watched some of your chatting there, and I understand what Vince is saying and one of the other people. I'd be glad to help you from a technical standpoint. Just call me sometime and we can talk about it. My PC that I'm running this on, that I ran last night's show on, the dual stream, Chris and I were connected together. We're using commercial grade software, but it definitely works. And I have a gaming laptop. I don't have a big powerful computer. I'll be glad to help you with it. I'm sure John would help you with it too. So from a Craps creation standpoint, let's start with some of the new guys here first. Let's go with Chris from Sideshow.
So the most difficult thing, I would say, we get it in our head that what we want, we've got a plan for the video we're going to do or the discussion we're going to have, and we build ourselves up. And I know this all affects all of us, is we're hoping it's going to go a certain way, and once the camera turns on, we've got to be prepared to work on the fly because the dice are not going to go the way we are hoping they go. Sometimes they do, but a lot of the times we have to show the adjustments. And I think that's a good thing, but it's also very frustrating when we're trying to show the audience, this strategy or this style of play. That would be the number one thing I would say.
All right. Chris, Dice Staging.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. Sometimes the dice don't cooperate. Probably for me, it's time to plan the video. That's one thing. Then actually shoot the video. That's another thing. And then edit the video, get it published, all that kind of stuff. It does take a lot of time. And for those of you who don't know, I don't just play craps. I actually have a day job. So I spend between 50 and 60 hours a week actually working my day job that pays me. And then, another probably close to 15, 20 hours of shooting, editing, all that kind of stuff. And then I think a big thing that goes unrealized is actually watching everyone's content, because that stops me from doing something else, which I'm not complaining. But luckily, I'm fortunate to have like 3 screens that I can put a video up on, have it playing in the background while I'm doing something else. But it's probably time, because it seems like the days just don't have enough hours sometimes.
All right. I'm going to go over to Greg from 555. Greg, I know your channel's not up, but maybe you have some words of wisdom from a YouTube content creator. I mean, your channel definitely was the very most popular, well, probably was the most popular dark-sided play. Do you have any words of wisdom for YouTube content providers who maybe want to get in on the dark side?
Well, for me, I was very, and I still am, very not tech savvy. So that was the hardest part for me. You guys make it look like easy. But for me, I mean, I had to figure out, I basically only had a phone and tried to figure out how to go forward from there. And I had 0 experience. So that's probably the most daunting part, I think, for anybody new. For me, craps has always been like a labor of love. So that part of it, I just enjoyed it. I can tell you the stories. I could get in there. I can shoot it out. One of the things I like to do is I throw dice against the wall before I even had a table, and I just loved it. So and I would do the math and I would get in. So like I have all the stuff that started out for me wasn't too bad, but the technical stuff was a freaking disaster for me anyway. So get somebody like Jeff to help you is my advice.
Get John to help you.
Yeah, really.
John, you want to take a stab? Because I see your question. I'm going to put it up here.
I mean, the hardest thing for me is finding content, because I made it clear a long time ago that I'm not going to be a channel that runs other people's strategies. Like Jeremy does that, Chris does that. It's not my wheelhouse to do that. but that means I've got to find other things to talk about. So I'll use sometimes other folks' strategies to make a point. But for me, it's like, what point do I want to make today or this week? And finding 5 days, 5 hours of content around a thing to talk about is really, really difficult. And I've committed to doing 5 shows a week now for almost a year. And finding things to talk about that are not just me running out, Waylon's latest strategy or Chris's latest idea is really, really hard. And how do I make that interesting and entertaining? I think the entertainment comes in me destroying strategies with all the 7s that I throw live. But honestly, it's really a difficult thing for me to find interesting things to talk about and keep it engaging, because I will not be a channel that just runs people's stuff. And people stopped emailing me. I'm getting no more emails saying, "Hey, run my strategy on your channel," because they know that I won't do it.
Send them all to
I find them interesting
show.
if they. I am. No, but I find it interesting if they make a point. If they help me make the point of, hybrid versus whatever, I can run one to kind of help me make a statement. But really, that makes it difficult for me. So that's my biggest challenge is keeping it real and keeping it interesting without just rolling out the latest thing. And that's hard.
Right.
Believe it or not, that's the hardest thing I have. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take a stab at this, but I'm going to start. Oops, wrong button there. I'm going to start with what Arnell just put up here, and it's probably right up my alley, because Arnell says he likes. That's why he likes the live, no editing shows, and I am one of the few that don't edit very many videos. If I do, I say it in the beginning. But you guys that edit videos, my hats go off to you, especially when you're doing all the wonderful intros, and I do all that on the fly. I mean, if you take a look at Color Up and Jeremy, that's what his job is. But to both Chris's, as well as John, you guys do an awesome job. But I agree with Arnell that I agree without the editing. And to answer your question, John, going back to when do you find time to watch? Well, I wear a lot of headsets. I do a lot of driving. I listen to a lot of shows all this past 10 days. I've listened to your Coffee and Craps, haven't been able to watch it. I put one message at a stoplight that says, "Hey, I'm here listening, not watching," and continue. And I'll be honest with you, it's hard. Somebody put it a couple hundred chats ago that there's not enough hours in a day to watch. We say it every single year. So anybody else want to take a stab at this question? And we need to get on to some Craps questions.
Hey,
Yeah, Jeff, if it's all right, can I?
Sure.
I'm sorry, Chris. You first, buddy.
No, you go for it, Greg.
And it's good that you actually were talking with me about this, because I find a lot of good things in inspiration from other people's channels. Like, for example, Chris, I saw you do the coin pusher, and it totally sent me off in that direction, and we got to work on it together. So it's like this whole stone soup thing. There's a lot of great content providers, and they actually help you get content. Now, the thing is, you're going to get to a point, I'm sure Jeremy from Color Up is there already, where you're just going to flat out have done everything and run out of stuff. But I love, not to mimic other people, but I get a lot in the past. I get a lot of great inspiration from these other great channels we have in the Craps Nation.
All right, Chris.
So I just wanted to point out something. I don't know if you and John picked up on what you guys were saying, but John alluded to it, and I think that's another key piece. Not the challenging part, but the what makes every channel unique. Where John was talking that he does it's a discussion based, and it's he talks through it and really does go that deep, that next level up of explanation into strategies, and then for you and your channel, it's more the hosting and bringing everybody together and banding the community and dialing. It's the play style. And then like for Chris and I, it's more, we're looking at the strategies and we're like, okay, so like for me, I've adapted to, okay, I'm going to roll that strategy. I may only do it once, but I'm going to give it a shot because maybe that viewer wants to see that rolled out because they've never seen it. It's just in their head. And I think with what Chris and I are doing and then doing those strategy comparisons, it's about a niche. And I didn't know if John wanted to tap in on that piece a little bit because he does a really good job explaining it. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, yeah, it's like, I think when I first met Jeremy in person, I went to Reno and I met Jeremy in person. I was like small. I had like 450 subscribers at the time, and he and I had lunch, and he said to me, what is the goal of your channel? Like, what's your audience? How do you want to be known? And it was really hard to answer the question. At the time, I had no answer for the question. Now I do. Now I know what I wanted. I want to teach the game. Basically, I use my channel as though I was writing a book, and how I would narrate my own like audio book. That's how I look at my channel. It's teaching, and I realized that was that's what I'm best at: talking, teaching, explaining, demonstrating. And I feel like there is nobody in that space, and that's what I do. There's a lot of guys that do the throwing and the practicing live, and a lot of guys that, like Greg, used to like take other folks' strategies and tear them apart, and that was his core competency, right? So I think, and I asked you the same thing, and Chris also, the other Chris, what do you want your channel to be about? Who's your audience? How do you speak to them? And what's the number one thing you want somebody to walk away from every episode that you do, leaving the comment of? And I want everybody to leave a comment that says, I just learned something that I didn't know before. I've been playing for 30 years. I'd never thought of it that way before. If I get that comment on every video, then I feel like I succeeded. And that's always my goal, is to give somebody a new. And actually today at the casino, I did my $12 8. I pressed it to a quarter, and the dealer was like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, trust me. Hit it again. I went to 54. She went, oh my God, that's a great press. Like, I taught her something today, box person. Every day, that's my life goal every day, to teach somebody something.
All right.
And yes,
let's
number 7, Bob, in chat, I do want to learn. I want to buy the Casino Royale in Vegas and make it the Craps house. Absolutely. That is my long-term goal.
Let me put that one up here, and then I'm going to go back to the one that's on the screen here, because
Yeah,
I want to group 4 questions together, and they're all going to be about Craps play. But I want to start with this one here, and we're going to finish out the YouTube content providers stuff with this question. I'm going to put it back up on the screen there. When you take a look at the YouTube content providers, and this comes from the Justice Jen. Welcome, Jen. And roll out the strategies. Waylon, here's a note for you. She said she would love to see longer rolls from Waylon and others, 50 minutes. Now, I'm going to comment on that, because I've talked to many YouTube content providers, and when I got started, I did a lot of long videos where my niche comes in, and I think both Chris's will agree with me that when I'm rolling out a strategy, whether I'm rolling somebody else's out or trying to do something different, I'm constantly talking. Imagine that, the voice constantly talking. And I get a lot of comments, a lot of emails, a lot of YouTube comments that come up there that say, Jeff, I really appreciate how you talk that out. I like the way that you worded that. It makes me get into your mind. It makes me see that. So the bad thing with long videos, as John will tell you, is that the longer the video, the less view time you get, and it can actually hurt your channel a little bit, because you've got a long video, short watch time. So, finding that right niche seems to be, if you talk to Jeremy, or if you talk to even with Jacob, Wager Me This gave me some excellent advice when I got started. Have a plan, practice it, know what you're going to do, know what you're going to say, hit the record button, get it over with. And that's basically what I do. But from a standpoint of a 50-minute video, you could have watched Friday and Saturday night, and you would have seen 3 hours of live Craps show. So I'll put that out there. John, you want to talk about anything to do with the length of videos?
God, video length is stupidly hard to figure out. It really is. Like, I've got videos that are 50 minutes where it's like, here's the strategy and here's a rollout. And you can see where half the audience leaves the minute the rollout starts. In that same video, the rollout is where people start watching. They jump in and all they care about is the dice rolling, right? You can rest assured that anytime you say, at least for me, when I say, and there it is, or and here we have it, which means I'm done talking, the viewership goes to 0 on YouTube. Like, you can see like the little graph who's watching the video. It goes down to the bottom the minute you indicate that you're done. So YouTube is pretty good at figuring out where people get bored in your videos. For me, I average about 25 minutes of view. Most people watch until I start rolling. And then once I start rolling, it gets kind of boring. And then folks will kind of nod off and go away. And that's what to me, the butter zone is about 25 minutes. I've got to get to like 15 minutes of teaching and 10 minutes of rolling. That's about the butter zone that I found. But yours may be different.
All right, let's keep this moving, guys. This is going to be back to a question of craps. I'm going to put this one up here. It's going to be a question by James Newberry. I'm going to try to put them all up here at one time, back to back. James wants to know. This was almost 30 minutes ago for the panel. What guys? What do you call profitable after 50 trips to the casino? And then Sebastian has asked about what is your best experience at the casino. And then let me see. There was one more up here I was going to group in with this. I cannot find it. It figures because I queued so many. So we'll start with that. From a standpoint of profitability, let's talk about craps winning and losing, and let's go with let's start with Clay. Clay, from a standpoint of what you consider profitable, you and I talk about it all the time. When we talk, we don't tell tales about whether we won or we lost. You've heard my losing stories. I've heard your losing stories. We've been together when we've lost, and we've been together when we won.
So you're asking what our feelings are on profits, or what do you what's your question here?
Are you
Here's the
after the last 50 rolls? Are you profitable? That was the question.
Yeah. The question was from the panel,
yes.
Are you guys profitable after your last 50 rolls?
Yes, after my last 50 sessions. I have individual trips, and then I have trips that, last 3 days, and I just call them sessions. So my last 50 sessions, yes, I'm profitable.
Okay. Anybody else? Chris Dice Degen, you play a lot.
Yes, my last 50, I won't say 50 because I actually just started this new thing this year, tracking my wins and losses at the casino. I have an Excel spreadsheet with every trip I take, the date, where it was, where I shot from, ending bankroll. So did I win or lose? Obviously that's in there. And then I also have a comment section for myself with what worked, what didn't work. Did I notice anything that I could learn from for next time? So this year I entered it actually before the show. I had 32 trips so far this year, and I am up for those 32, and up pretty good for that matter. But I do keep track, and I am profitable this year so far. I didn't keep track in the past, so I can't comment on the past, but I'm trying to get better with actually tracking it. So I have an Excel spreadsheet with all that stuff in it.
All right, Chris, Sideshow.
I know I'm up this year, starting in January, because that's where I got the table. I mean, it's not in my bank, but it's on my floor downstairs. My worst experience, I did doink myself for my entire bankroll of 1,500 in about 10 minutes because the dice just didn't go my way.
All right. I'm just going to tell you that I'm up after the last 50 sessions. I would say, without getting into styles of play, because I'm going to ask Greg the question before he stopped with his channel and times that he played. He plays strictly don't. I play strictly hybrid style and switch from the darker side to the lighter side. So I'm up after the last 50 trips. I don't want to say how much, but Greg, my friend, when you were playing, because you and I were probably different than most of the light-sided players that are in the chat and that are in here. What's your experience?
I'm up over the last 31 years. I've been constantly tracking it. It's like the thing that I do. I've been going to the casino. I've been tracking from the very beginning. Now, I'm not saying I'm up massive money, but it's very much a thing that I do. I've been tracking, and the thing with me is I need to be winning 90% or better for me to be playing craps. So I've actually very much kept track on my entire career on playing don't, and it's I don't want to brag or anything, but I've done okay. That's all I'll say on it. All right.
Dylan.
Well, I have to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I have. It's been up and down, mostly down though. I have lost here in the last 50 sessions. So I know that I'm down, but when I go up, I'm not making great loss or great profits. So if I'm bringing 600 or whatever, then I'm bringing home maybe 700 at at best, and so that's not it's a little here, a little there, but then out of another 600 session, I could lose maybe just 100 to half of that to 300. So it just varies, but it's been a roller coaster. I have to be honest, it's been a roller coaster. But I haven't really won a lot here recently, just dead honest.
All right. I'm going to put this next question. It sort of goes up. I had it up there a second ago. See if I can put it back up here. I think that's the question that I wanted to put up there. The reason why most people wind up losing at the casino is scared money. That's Waylon. That wasn't the one I meant to put up there. Here, let's put this one up here. Push the technology, Jeff. Here we go. What is your most ever won in a single session? And he quotes in here about David from Casino Quest mentioning that he won $47K. I don't know that either one of us probably want to admit that. I've had some really big winning sessions where I was really impressed buy-in wise, and I was a lower buy-in person, and I'm happy. So what a win might be bigger for somebody else, I don't want to say what my win is, but I know what my losses are, and I know when I stop and walk out. Anybody want to take a stab at that? It would actually admit it?
Well, since I made the last comment, I know that I took 300 one time and turned it into 5,000. So on the craps table, a little over 5,000. So that was one of my better sessions, and I was very proud of that. I'm very happy about that. So that does stick out, first and foremost. So that was one session.
All right, let's follow it up with this question here too, and we'll let somebody else chime in with all the questions that I put together, grouped them all here. If you have a big win at the table, what do you do with the profits? Do you invest it? Do you still grow? You bankroll while not being able to get to the casino, or just put it on the side, or what? So with me, I think I have my plan money, and my plan money fluctuates up and down with losses. But I keep it separate from anything else. It doesn't pay the rent. It doesn't pay the grocery bills. It doesn't pay a house payment or electric or cable or anything. And when that gets depleted, I have to find a revenue source in order to be able to start that over again. So anybody else want to have a stab at this?
100% the same thing. I have a separate bank account that just has gambling money in it. That's all it is. And
right.
I've been feeding that thing for 25 years. And it's a combination of gambling winnings and side hustle. So when I get a side job, I'll feed that account and grow it up, and that's what I've been doing. I actually took a couple of side jobs the last 6 months, and I won some and grew that account, but I put more into it from side money, and that's why my 401g account is a little bigger than it was before, and I can increase my buy-ins now. So absolutely a separate account.
Yep. Tim, you want to comment?
It does not affect my house. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to jump in the same thing that John just said. I have a 403G, and this month or this year I have it set at, let's just say, $5,000 that I'm going to have as my $5,000. But my goal is to take that $5,000 and turn it into $7,500 or $10,000. And as I increase and take some of my winnings, I'll increase my cup, so to speak, until it's full, and that's it. That's all just gambling money, and that's what it's for. Now, at some point, I'll be happy, and I'll start letting it spill out into my regular life and buy things for me. But it's just for having fun, because that's what I'm going for anyway.
All right. Anybody else who would like to take a stab at those group of questions I just answered?
I think that John touched on something there when he was saying building his bankroll and using and doing that and being able to have larger buy-ins. And with larger buy-ins, you're having larger bets, which hopefully your winnings become larger. But when they don't, you have to reflect back to your normal betting to build that bankroll back up. You take a hit, say you're a 66 inside player, and that's what you're playing, and you won $1,000 in your last 10 sessions. So instead of betting 66 inside, you either move up to 88 or 110 or 154 and start a regression strategy of some sort. But you have to adjust. You get used to that 154 and take a few hits, for 2 or 3 sessions, and lose a buy-in, a session, then you have to revert back and build that back up. You have to keep an eye on the percentages of your bankroll as it's growing and adjust your bets accordingly, in my opinion.
All right.
Totally.
Anybody else?
That's the best way to
move
state
on?
it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll
Anybody
take a
else
stab
before
at
we
this.
move on?
I like to separate out the money when you reach beyond a certain point. See, I know guys differ from me in this, but I go with basically the same bankroll every time. I'm not looking to use my bankroll to increase bets. I'm looking to build a cushion in that bank account that I have that separate money in. So, I'm not. It's all fun money, but it's my money. So I don't have these grandiose ideas of going to the casino and killing them for $50,000 because I put X amount of money in the bank. That's not what I'm about. I go with my 2,000. I'm usually only willing to dip into 1,000 on that. And should I go through even the entire 2,000, which hasn't happened in a very, very long time, but if I did, that I would deduct that amount. I don't consider having more money reason to spend and gamble more money. I think that if you have that mentality, you can get yourself in trouble with gambling. I don't like to do that. So I try to keep it very uniform. I try to win a lot of my bets, a lot of my sessions, and I let it basically grow like a nest egg. So if that makes any sense, I prefer that method.
I think you
I
probably
work mine
summed
like
it
a
up all
percentage,
together.
Greg. So yeah. So for years, I had $5,000. So I had more than that for a while, but we just paid off a bunch of school loans, and my 401g went down to 5,000. So my buy-in has been $500, 10% of that for a long time, for about 8 months to a year. It's taken me a long time, a lot of trips to the casino to build it back up to 10K. And now I can buy in for 1,000. And like Clay said, now I am a $65 horseman and 160 on me player with my $1,000 buy-in. So I've worked it for months to build it to that point. And that's, I guess, answers the buy-in question that somebody else had asked earlier too. You do a percentage of that account, and it does increase your bet size. I'm not going to ever risk more than 10% of my buy-in of my 401g account, but when I have that does change my levels for sure. I'm not sure about the rest of you guys. Do you change your levels based on your 401g account size, or you just buy in for what you buy in for, and you always work the same thing?
I do.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that question
I changed
up
my
next.
level.
Yeah, let me bring that question up here, guys. I think that what John was touching is this question here. It's somebody that probably is on an income level or a comfortability level of not being able to do a bigger buy-in, say like a Whalen, or even somebody that buys in for more than 1,000 or 1,500. So the question is, he doesn't have the what's to go past 24 on a box number. Should I step out of my comfort zone, or just leave it as it is, not looking for a huge bank, just to have fun at craps? I think the answer to that on my side, if you're having fun and you're enjoying it and you're making money and you might have a $100 loss at a session, and you're okay with that, that's entertainment money. But if you want to step it up and make some money, there is a possibility to do that. I just think that you got to understand every aspect of the game. Just don't worry about the light side, the dark side, the hybrid side. Learn the prop bets. Learn what your casino has. I mean, there's so many bets that can be made out there, and I think Waylon will probably put in the chat here how many total bets there are on a craps table, because he's done it before. But anybody want to take a stab at this question? Go ahead, Chris.
So this one hits pretty close to home. When I started, I practice a lot, and it's like, okay, this is my bankroll. Say it's $1,000. I'm going to do 110 inside. Should almost give me 10 shooters, and that's what we think in our head. But then when you're standing at the table, and I've asked John to do maybe a week series or a day talk on this, is we do all these strategies, but then when we're at the table, what do we truly do? And I caught myself reverting back to just something, the bare minimum bets. And I realized this very big in during DiceCon, is after John whacked me one. I went right back to.
I'm never gonna live that down.
No, you're not. So after John whacked me for 330 inside, I got nervous and I went back down. And it actually took Dan, the dice doctor, when I was playing with him at the Fremont, and he got me more comfortable again. And it was just, I had to get through that process. And I think what it is the answer you've got to give is for yourself is, are you playing for fun or are you playing for money? And I try and go for, I'm going there to meet a goal. Once I meet the goal, and I take this from one of John's morning talk sessions, once I meet my goal, I pull my bankroll and my goal and I put it back in my pocket. If I got $60 left, I'm playing short stack. If I got $100 left, I'm playing, that's the stack. And then I'm having fun.
Yeah.
So that's how I go. But it's, as Waylon did say, if you're not going to put the money out there, you're not going to make the money. Now, I only do $1,500 buy-ins, and that's all I do. I'll never step up higher than that. I won't go lower, but that's where I play. So if I build my bankroll higher, I just get more buy-ins. And if it's gone, like John said, find a side hustle, build it back up.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I have the ability to write code, and I have lots of side hustles. I can always have a side hustle. So I'm a little bit blessed in what I've chosen for a career, that I can always, do that. But not everybody does. So you have to manage your own money a little more carefully than probably John does.
All right, dialing from a standpoint of being afraid to go higher than a $24 bet. What you're a longtime player. You and Greg together probably have more experience than my age is. I'm not calling you old or anything, but I am. Go ahead, Dylan.
Well, it's all part of discipline. That's what it boils down to. It's all money management and discipline, and that's what we preach. So if you can afford it, then that's fine. If your bankroll can afford that for whatever session money that you brought, then that's fine. It's back to John Patrick 101 stuff, but it's just the way it goes. And so I can't really add too much more to that than that. It's just you got to have common sense, and you can't go on tilt, you can't go crazy, so that's how I feel about it. So it just depends on what you're. I mean, you can risk a little bit if that's what you're. If you're really there to say, well, okay, I can lose this, and I'm going to go for it, then. Okay, then I say, yeah, you can make those bigger bets and go for it if that's your one-time mentality. If you're going to do a Hail Mary, or that you're going to be if you're going to be quote unquote more aggressive, then that's fine. It's just your mindset. You have to have a certain pre-goal and a game plan, and you got so that's what it's all about. That's my 2 cents on that.
The thing is, Dylan, is this: if you've got money, like to me, the 401g account is money I could light on fire and not give a shit about. Like it's there for the purpose of going to the casino. So when I pull 10% of that out, and if I happen to have a bad day and I burn the whole thing, I don't care. I mean, I care, right, but I don't care. Like if I got paid on Friday and I took 500 of that to the casino and lost it, that would really suck. That would chat my ass and ruin my whole week, right? That's the mentality of it. And I think everybody needs to do that. Get a separate account, put the money in there, don't care about it. If it works, it works. If not, and Bob's your uncle. Like hopefully you can make it happen. But if it doesn't, like today, I lost a lot of money today. I'll tell you about it tomorrow on the show. I don't care, right? I mean, I care because I wanted to win, but it doesn't affect my life at all. Like I on the way home, I bought a $60 bottle of whiskey on the way home because I don't care, right? Because it wasn't money that I needed to eat with. That's the most important thing that people have to take away from this conversation. Don't gamble with money you need to eat with. That's so important. Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to another question, guys. We're approaching that time where we're going to end the main show and go into a post show tonight. But let's keep going. Does anybody want to touch that? Because I have a question in the queue. You probably have seen it. It's going to be about from the panelists and professional craps players. But let's finish this question out here. Anybody else got anything they want to say on this topic?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Jeff. I was lucky enough early in my gambling that I met up and became friends with a whale in a casino that I frequent. I told this story on my channel all the time. Fantastic guy. And he taught me basically early on. He said, son, the chips, he goes, it's just a way to make the game interesting. I very much play with that mentality. I'm not looking to break them. I don't want them to break me. I'm approaching this like it's a game of chess. I want to win. I want to meet my goal. I want to do all that. But if you're playing as an adrenaline junkie, you got a problem. Because he told me, this whale, can you imagine this? Playing the types of bets he was playing. He told me, Greg, we're playing the same exact game. There's no difference between you and me except the color of these chips. So I very much took that to heart. Mm-hmm. And I really play it like that. I play for the satisfaction of winning, not the breaking them or the adrenaline rush and the high that comes from it. I play craps because I like to play craps. And now I play on my own table. Honestly, and I've said this so many times, if I never played in a casino again, I would be okay with that because I like the game of craps. I don't care if it's funny money here at my table or if it's real money. I'm not trying to break them. I enjoy the game. And I think that's what most people should do. And they should be cognizant that, like John said, don't bet with money that you got to eat with because that's a big no-no.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And the guy, the poster mentioned something about comfort level, and I don't think you should ever go out of your comfort level.
No. All right, guys, let's move on to this next question. And it's probably going to create maybe just a, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what it's going to create. So let me switch over here to the queue, and I'm going to queue these back up here. So the question comes, this first question here, it's going to lead into the next following question. So here's the first question. Do any of the panelists plan on turning to a pro craps player for a living later on in their journey? So stand by. Hold on one second. There's a follow-up to that. And why this one here, and why isn't there any professional craps players? And then Arnell has the best way to think about it, and that is by when he plans to retire, he's going to become a professional craps player. Now, little bit of banter in there, all those together. To be quite honest with you, I'm a longtime craps player, but a recent serious craps player, pushing 3 years, longtime 20-year recreational player. I'm going to back out of this one and somebody talk about professional craps player, why there is or there isn't.
You know, I have thoughts on this one. I'll go last. I'll go last.
So I'll hit that first, I guess, there, Jeff. So I think for me, I want to play professionally as a side hustle. You know, maybe it's a $500 buy-in a week, and I see what I can do with it. And it's just meant for me to have something to do. If it turns into something good, great. If it doesn't, it's not going to break the bank. As my wife tells me all the time, even when I get retired, I still need to find something to do. So I'll probably get a side job and work at Jiffy Lube or something. I don't know. And then that'll be my side gambling money when I retire. So for me, would it be nice to be a professional craps player? Yes, it would. Because I really do love the game, and as Greg was saying, it's all about the passion we all have for it. But I also agree with what he also said, where if I just played at my home table every day, I would never have an issue. I could do it all day and never be a problem. But I do enjoy the excitement of an actual live craps table. So I don't know if that would be professional. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's my best shot at it.
Anybody else?
Okay, Jeff, I'll go.
Nobody else.
I think personally that trying to make a living off a game of chance like that is insanity. It's literally the path to hell for you. I mean, it's unpleasant. You're basically going up against the house edge, which you're a guaranteed loser over enough time, and you plan to eat like that. The only guys I think that should be professional gambling have enough money that it doesn't matter in the first place. So I don't think anybody should be professionally gambling. Maybe some of these World Series of Poker guys can do it, but guys, it sounds good until you try to make a living from it, and you got to eat based on what you make in the casino. I wouldn't recommend it. I definitely wouldn't do it. At your own peril be it, if you guys want to make that. You'll never see me doing it, though. That's crazy.
All right. John.
Yes, I want to be a pro craps player, of course. What my plan is this. I'm dead serious about this. I'm dead. No, but I'm serious. I'm dead serious about this. My financial plan, and I'll let you all in on John's world, right? We're working with a financial guy. I'm 53 years old. There's no doubt that when I'm 65, 70 years old, we'll have enough money to retire on, right? We've made good decisions with our money. We have good real estate decisions. We're fine. Right? We're going to be okay to live. And the 401g account, when it gets to 100 and I can bet 10, I can turn 10,000 into $500 4 days a week. I'm going to be okay. And I won't need it to live on because I'm going to already have enough money in the bank to live on. And I'm going to do this every day and take that $80K a year cash and party with it when I'm 65, 70 years old. That's my plan. I'm not going to be a pro where I have to live on it. But I'm absolutely going to go 4 days a week, win $500 with my $10,000 and have a great old freaking time. And I might even be a dealer. So come to Vegas and I'll deal to you. And I'm going to literally stop in the casino, drop 10K on the table, win $500, go deal for 6 hours, go home and drink my Andel's Envy and call it a day. That's my life. I do not intend to live on this, but I do intend to use this to make my life a little bit better. And it will be with money that I have built up. So I won't even try it until I have 100K stashed away for this purpose. And I'm bringing 10K every time. And my win goal is going to be like literally 5%. $500 a day from 10,000 I can do. And I'm fine with that. That's literally it.
All right. Anybody else?
Grain of salt.
I think it's something. I think it's something interesting to say that what John's talking about is still being an enjoyable recreational player because he's got enough bankroll. He's gonna go down and enjoy his time, take his small little win, walk down to the buffet, and say thank you very much. Whereas a person 100%. Who is starting out without that fat bankroll, who's going to try to be a professional gambler and win up to that bankroll, is going to hate it because they are going to be second guessing themselves all day, hitting those little wins and trying to do that. I just need one more shot things to get it done, and it's never going to happen. So it's two different things. Yeah. If you're coming at it from the top and saying, "Hey, this is just going to be my fun. This is me going to the golf course and throwing out $100 at the golf course," instead I'm going to put it on the craps table. But if you're going to try to do it from the bottom level and try to make your way into being a pro, that's when you start hating the game because it's going to beat you. Like he was. Greg was saying that the odds are going to get you. They're going to get you.
House edge.
It will. But if I can make a couple grand a week on the regular, and that's like our trip to Hawaii, that's our trip to wherever, and that's our going to see a bunch of concerts, and that's me going to Wisconsin to watch the Packers in person. Hell yeah, that's what it's all about for me. But I'm not doing that until I'm retired with enough actual bankroll to live. But my pro craps play is going to be funding my actual life. No question. And that is my goal. That's why I practice every freaking day. Because I'm looking at that as an income source to fund my fun.
All right.
But
Donald,
not at personal risk.
Well, I'm not a pro. I don't consider myself a professional gambler. An amateur, maybe. But we're all taking baby steps, and we're all approaching this the right way. So we gotta crawl, and then we gotta walk, and then we can hopefully run one day. So it's just you gotta. It's all again with the John Patrick money management and discipline. That's what it's all about, and you've got to have those win goals and stick to them. That discipline is very, very difficult. Big AZ will attest to that. It's very difficult to stay on course. I do limit myself. I set a win goal and a loss limit and stick to it. And it's a work in progress. It's a hard work in progress. But I can foresee. With me being a truck driver. I can foresee, in a few years, I've talked to the wife about this, that, this is something that I really want to do, that I know that I'm good at, and that I see potential in. But you still have to have reason, and you can't go crazy. That's just the way it is. And so as long as you have a good focus, and there's potential to be a professional craps player. There is potential to do that. So that's my 2 cents.
Wow. Surprised did you say that there's actually potential to be a professional craps player? I've seen a lot of comments in here. I'm putting some up, some I'm not. I'm trying to be more serious with this this particular question. So we're going to go into the last question on the main part of the show tonight, guys. The question that's going to be talked about on the post show, if you want to stick around, is the question asked by Dice Dr. Dan, which is going to be about dice influence. I know we're going to lose a couple people on that, but it's going to be interesting to hear that. And we won't keep the post show that long. So let's go ahead and finish this out. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about professionalism and playing a craps player, not being professional craps player? There we go.
Just have one comment, Jeff. I won't be a professional craps player. I'll be a lifelong craps player, but not a professional, to the point where, I have to feed family, kids off of it. Maybe when I retire, but I got a long time for that. So I'll be waiting, counting those days down. But professional gambler, maybe. With my sports betting, but not a professional craps player, because sports betting is something I feel like I can control to an extent. Craps, like Greg said, is a game of chance. So it's not something I would do professionally, but definitely play for my lifetime.
All right. Anybody else want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, I'll take it, Jeff. I think what John described, my good buddy John, who I love, by the way, he described as professional gambling, professional craps playing. That's actually pretty much recreational playing. He doesn't need the money at that point, and he'll get to do what he loves for the rest of his life and hopefully make a few bucks on it. I mean, what craps player doesn't want that? I mean, that's the dream for most guys. But it's not, you want to talk to somebody about professional gambling. Talk to Ken Knows Gambling. Talk to Jacob from Wager Me This. He tried it. He took a stab at it. And it ain't fun and it ain't easy. And if you ever need to know that you need to live off that money, that's a nightmare. I'd want no part of it. If guys are watching, if I can impart one piece of wisdom, don't try it, guys. If you're in the chat and you're thinking about it, think twice, because it's not a fun path to go down.
Gambling to eat is a dumb idea. Just call it what it is. Not good.
All right, guys, we're going to head into the very last question before we go into the overtime session here, and it's a real quick question. Shouldn't take us long to be able to answer this. I think we've talked about it before. Oops, that was your question, John. I'm not sure what just happened here. Hopefully I didn't cue it. I think I did clear it. No, I didn't. Here it goes. This is the question. It talks about your you had a comment I put up there. What is your standard buy-in? I will start, and we'll go around the table. That should take us right up to about the 11 o'clock East Coast time, and then we'll go into overtime with the
connected with you.
I wasn't connected before, but I'm back now.
Okay, well,
go dead by me too. Jeff, you got things on the hand?
Yes, I do. Is there something wrong? Did something happen to the feed?
I'm gonna text him. It looks like he's still going with John and Dylan. Maybe he cut off the Zoom.
All right, I got you, Chris.
Well, we can hear all of you guys. Yeah, is it? Is there a problem with the feed?
See how this dice influence conversation goes.
Well, I can hear all of you. I don't know what's exactly going on. John,
it might be such a thing that Zoom times out. You only got so many minutes.
I'm gonna have to turn their audio off. John, can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay, I guess the Zoom side is disconnected because I could hear everything they were saying. Maybe they couldn't hear us.
Right. I think
so
nobody in Zoom can hear you for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just muted them, so I couldn't listen to it. But I'm going to reconnect the condition there. But here we go. It's the question again was as I put up here. what is the standard buy-in and why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by saying my standard buy-in is somewhere between 600 and 1,000, but it was less than that. I found out the littler money I brought, the tighter I played and the worse I worried about it. I've expanded out to 600. I expanded out to 1,000, and I'm pushing to $1,200 to $1,500 buy-in now. That's my standard buy-in. Who else wants to take a stab at that?
I have to concur. I have to completely agree with you. My standard buy-in is 600 to 1,000, and if she'll, if the wife will let me, I'll go bigger. But normally that's what we can afford. So it's usually 600 to 1,000 for me. Depends on who I'm going. If I'm going with my brother, then I wanna do 1,000 buy-in. But if I'm by myself, I can do 600 easily by myself, and not. Then I've got a different mindset. I'm more relaxed. It's fun with him. But I can take my time. I'm not as rushed. He wants to rush. He wants to go.
Oh, they can.
So,
that's cool.
It's just a little different. It's just a different mindset. So it depends. It just depends.
All right, guys. I'm having a little bit of problem with the microphone on the Zoom side. Somebody else want to take a stab at this?
Can the Zoom guys hear us?
I don't think they can hear us, but I think they've all switched back over. But let's go ahead and continue to talk while I try to fix this. Zoom's actually telling me that I lost the microphone.
I'll just do mine. Mine is simple. Mine's $1,000 now. It was 500 for about a year rather. My 401g was $5,000, so it was $500 buy-in. I didn't increase that until I got to 10,000 in that account. Now it's $1,000. So I waited until I get to a meaningful jump, and then I upped my buy-in. And when I did that, I just changed my bet amounts. So yeah, for me now it's $1,000. It's taken me about 6 months to grow from 5K to 1,000 after the big school payment. But yeah, that's where it is now.
I want to ask
and my win goal is still the same. I'm still looking for 20%. So
right. But you just said that your buy-in's 1,000. I'm saying my buy-in's 1,000, and Jeff said the same thing earlier. Yep. Chris said, "I'm just curious. What is your first initial bet? So out of that, what are you looking to put out on the table? Is it 66? Sure. Is it what is your normal with 1,000? What is your normal
for everybody? So for everybody not named John, it's $25 don't and 3 come bets of $10 at a $10 table. So I'm out there for 65 or $65 thereabouts, depending on the shooter. I may reinvest and go 66 inside if somebody's getting a roll going, but not until the come bets pay off. When it's me shooting, it's 160 across. I'll go pass line. I'll do the ATS 160 across. I'll take a couple hits and come back down and work it from there. So that $1,000 allows me to get 6-7 shooters around to me. Generally speaking, playing the horseman, which is a super, it's a nice mediocre strategy. I can be up $50 to $200 depending on where we are. When it comes to me, I like to play myself for free. Like I'd like to win a couple $100 so I can play my 160 across for me, right? That's what I want to say. If not, my bankroll supports that.
Caesar's Tropicana this time and resort.
Yeah, we're losing the Zoom guys. It looks like.
A lot. Have you gone to the
and as an example,
the one that used to be the Taj Mahal
skill? Jeff, we're getting the crossover there. So skill. So today, as an example, I played with friends. So you'll love this because when my friends were shooting, instead of playing the horseman, I played the skill 66 with my friends. So when my friend and his wife were shooting, and that worked out pretty well. He did PSO once on me, but that worked out pretty well. And I played that with them. But the other people on the table, it was a $25 don't and 3 $10 come bets. And I worked the horseman that way until it came to me. And, a couple of guys, one guy went on a pretty good roll, and I ended up losing money on him because he hit the point a couple of times and my don't got beat. But, I'll take that hit.
Right.
That's why because they don't bet a lot on other people. I don't put it out there at risk.
Exactly. I was just curious.
Mhm.
Jeff, did Jeff freeze up?
Wait, this is scary. So Chris at Slideshow Gamble, who is in the military, has a work call at 10 o'clock at night East Coast time, or 11 o'clock. That's not good. I'm just putting it out there that if a military guy's got a work phone call 11 o'clock at night, some shit's going down. I hope not, but
Are the Zoom guys with us back or not?
I think so. I thought I heard some crosstalk there.
Well, Jeff is working hard at getting them back.
Yeah, he is. Yep. So Dice Dr. Dan. So the skill 66, I've run it on my channel a few times. Basically, it's a 66 inside. You take one hit on an inside number, you drop a buck, you go to 88 inside. On the next hit, you drop down to 44 inside, and then you start going for the ceiling. And I did that today twice. And twice I got my 6 up over $200. I had a $240 6 and $120 8 twice today from 66 inside starting point on 2 good shooters. So a lot of times what happens with that is that you get your second hit and you're done, you know, a quick 7, and you walk away with $6. That happens to me quite a bit. But on a couple of good rolls, we made some money today. So that strategy worked out very well today. It kept me alive most of my day.
Yeah,
and again, I wasn't ready to play it because, you know, you just got to get somebody who's rolling inside numbers, and it works out well. And frankly, the skill 66 is the same thing if you're at 110 inside to start, or if you're, you know, 220 inside. It's the same idea. It's one big press, one big regression, and you're playing for free. And that's a great way to play. I love pressing for free, you know, so it's a win.
Yeah, I find, you know, I worked hard on that. And the reason I came up, the 5 tables are gone basically, you know, and so, we can usually find a $10 table. And so it was like,
yeah,
I worked very diligently on finding a really cool thing that would maximize money. And then when you press that, you're not pressing much at all, and then drop it, you know, back down to the table minimum. So, you know, I worked really, you know, I was like, and I worked backwards, I worked forwards, I was like, this is what this is what I want to do. This is my goal, and I worked backwards. And so it just came to me like that. And so just, you know, dropping $1 to press it up another level, and then dropping it down to table minimum, then you're really locking up money. Yeah. Then you get all the money back that you started with, plus a profit, and then you're stress free. And that's what it's all about. It's playing stress free. And so that way you can ride that rhythm. Wave. Yeah, you know, and then you have the potential to ride that wave to whenever it crashes, it doesn't matter that point. So that's what it was all about
today.
And so
today at one point I did 220 inside. I did 220 inside. I got the $70. I pressed 66 inside. Took one more hit, came down to 64 across, and I had like $130 in profit when I was at 64 across. And that's when I even on that roll, I got my 6 up to $120. Just a good shooter, but it just takes 2 hits to get there. I love the 2 hits and back. So that worked out pretty well. Yeah. That pattern is a good one to follow for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's one of my go-to things that, you know, so I'm very proud of that one.
Yeah, it's great. I see that Jalanpan's got a great quote out there. He says, I don't know how it's going to happen, but someone's got to break the trend and step up as our messiah to make professional craps an actual thing. There's no way to do it without a ton of bankroll. And I'll give you an example. The Wayland strategy that I love the most, the Grim Reaper strategy, you can make money on that as a professional gambler, but you need a lot of money. If you buy in for 10 grand, and you're going 200 no 4, 200 no 10, $100 don't pass, you can make $500 almost every single time. I've never taken $10,000 to zero with that strategy. That's how you be a pro. You're not going to be a pro by pressing a bunch of shit. You're going to be a pro by grinding it out for $500 bucks a day. It's totally possible to do, but you need huge bankroll to do it. You need, you got to have 10K to win 500. Like that's the only way to be a quote unquote pro, and do it on repeat. And you're going to have a day where you lose all 10,000. You know, so you're going to have to make sure that you've got 30 wins in between that to make it work right. But you can do it. You know, you can do it, and I think that's one of the strategies that I would probably try to do to make it happen.
I can't see the chat, so if you want to read some of the chat, then that'd be great. While Jeff's
I'm looking. So Dice. Well, a simple question from Dice Grinders. He just asked real quick: where's everybody buying their dice now that Midwest is no longer selling dice to anybody? So for me, every trip to the casino, I go to the store and I buy dice. And I go through the little bin and I try and find the least chewed up dice I can find. That's the best way to do it, is just to find them at the stores, because there's no good way to do it anymore. Unfortunately, Midwest, I get why they did it, but damn, you know.
Yeah.
Is there anything else out there that's good?
All right, I do believe
I'm looking in the chat now to see if it's.
Well, we should have the audio back. We should have the audio back. Chris, can you say something? Hold on. Chris, say something.
You have any audio on me now?
Yep, we got you now.
Yes.
Sorry about that, guys.
We do, yeah.
For you techies out there, that was an NDI problem with Zoom. Zoom created the problem for me. It took me a little while to fix that. But John, I appreciate you and Dial-In talking about that. We're well past the 11 o'clock hour, and I would like to go into the overtime chat. I guess East Coast Craps try to get back in. Greg's come back in. So I would like to at least go into that portion of it. So right now, before we get out of here, it's still showing that Tim is here, and I don't see Tim. Tim, if you want to jump back in, the Zoom call was open. I will let you in as soon as I see somebody in there. I can do that. Tim, if you'll come back in. Apologize, guys. We haven't had a week's gone by. Clay, you need to do something with your video, because we don't want to see you laying there like that. We'll leave it. There you go, Clay. Thank you. Whoa, thank you, Clay. Ooh, nobody saw that but me. Man, was that a sight. That's all I got to say. Man, I'm going to reconnect the Zoom video, and then we'll be ready to go. John, is there any more chats out there I mixed? I tried to keep up with you, but I couldn't do it.
I'm going through now. So Dan DVD is asking question: the day that you are going to the casino, have you ever had an incident where you said to yourself, I probably shouldn't go, and then of course you lost? That's happened to me before. 100%. I think
I would never, if I can't do that, then I would never do that. No, the answer to that is no.
Yeah, I have forced it. When I go to Vegas and I'm there for 3 days, I have forced a couple sessions where I woke up and I'm like, today's not really the day, but you feel like you should. I'm a big, I hate to say this, I don't believe in any superstitions like, don't say 7 or give me the same dice. That to me is all BS. But 100%, if I'm thinking one more roll or the next press is going to be, I'm starting to turn my stuff off, because that seems like my brain makes the dice do bad things. I know it's bullshit, but I totally feel that. Do you feel that too, Dylan?
Not really. I have to say no to that. I don't get that. Now my brother tells me that he gets that the hairs, that 6 cents, the 7's coming, the 7's coming.
Yeah.
Then he says he changes the dice set. So he'll he does different. He says he does proactive things to when he gets that feeling. But I don't get that feeling. I don't. I have a plan. I stick with the plan, and it's like, and then I do my money management according to what happens. So I've already got a preset mind of how I want things to go, and based on the winnings and whatever happens, I've already got a preset of if then this, on everything.
Yep.
So, but I don't get those weird
I get it.
Red flags or whatever. I don't get that.
I don't get the red flag, but like I'll give you an example. Today I had a 240 on the 6, 120 on the 8, and my friend was throwing. He was throwing really well. He had thrown like 6 or 7 sixes at the time, and I wasn't so much one rolling down, but I was saying, okay, no matter what happens next, I'm going down to 110. And I was looking at my numbers. I'm like, hey, I really, I said if the 6 comes, it'll be. And I was really trying to make sure that I had the right change coming because the dealer was new. So I knew what I had out there, and I'm like, if I go to 110, I'm expecting back 376 is what I'm going to see back coming to me. And I was focusing on that, and then he threw a freaking 7, right? And I really should have just went to 110 right at that moment. I should have went to 110, but I was trying to do the math, thinking what's going to happen on this next hit, and it doesn't mean a hill of beans, you know that, right? But it just felt like it was going to happen. But I was thinking now's the time to regress. And I was so close to having that 6 to table max because the next hit would have been 480 at table max on the 6. And I'm like, well, I just want to get it there one time. And I'm like, nope. The right thing to do, the John thing to do is to go back to 160 across or 110 inside. And then, of course, he throws a 7. But, that's what it is, right? And I know I tempted fate by thinking it. By just daring to do the math, I screwed myself.
All right, guys, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Yeah,
yes, we can, Jeff. Yep.
We've got Chris, Clay, and Greg back in the chat. I do have a question. I'd like to talk since I missed my 11 o'clock window going into overtime. I'm going to take the show into overtime. I think I'm surprised that that there are some people that just showed up here that are probably going to argue with us about the question in overtime. I'm going to put it up in the screen. I would like to thank everybody that's here with us tonight. My good friend Dylan from Skill and Luck, my co-host John from Pro Craps, Chris Dice Dejan, Chris from Sideshow Gamble, Clay, Greg from Fives, Tim was here. I'd like to thank all of you that was on the roll here today. The question that's going to be coming up, it's going to be a doozy. Some of you are not going to specifically like to talk about that, but when we come back from this quick short break, and I mean it's going to be really short break, this is the question that is going to be asked. So keep that in mind, and we're going to head to that right after we get back from this. All right, we are in overtime now, guys, and sorry for that. It really didn't work out the way I wanted to do. Technical problems right there at the end. We are back in overtime, and anybody that wanted to stay on the call can stay on the call. We're going to continue with this question right here. It's going to be a doozy, I'm sure. Do any of you guys think that dice influence is bogus, and if so, why? I don't know that Dice Dr. Dan is still with us. He asked that question more than an hour ago, and I didn't want to put it in the middle of all those other questions. So let's have a stab at it. Let's start with somebody that doesn't believe in it, and we'll start with Greg. Greg, what do you think?
I think that every roll of the dice is a random, independent event. I don't think anything that a dice influencer is trying to do has any effect on the dice whatsoever. I think the casino has arranged it in a way with that back wall, with the surface of the table, that they get a random result every time. So now, if you like dice influencing, feel free to dice influence. But I don't think there's anything to it. And I think if you're going to bet based on a perceived advantage that you don't have, I think that's foolishness. So I think, honestly, that dice control is an exercise in OCD. If I twist my index finger a hundredth of a centimeter to the left, it's going to produce this, it's going to produce that. And you just don't know if it's either all random or it's not random. And I'm of the school of thinking that it's all random. So I know that annoys people, but that's what I think.
All right, one column for the bogus side of it. Let's go to Chris, Dice Dejan.
All right. I've actually done a video on it on my channel and stuff, and I do set the dice. The reason being is because I feel like it can get me to the point where I am out of the roll, and it gets me to where I need to be in terms of a roll count. However, It doesn't always mean that I'm going to get to that roll point. You'll hear about it on my next story time, but today I was terrible rolling the dice. Absolutely terrible. I had 2.7s and another short roll. It was bad. But the concept of dice influence, because I watched a guy actually at the casino today take almost 40 seconds to set his dice.
Brutal.
And I'm telling you right now, his landing zone was different every single time. The way the dice were thrown was different every single time. And the way they left his hand, the spin on them was different every single time. So if you can perfect it to the point where you can hit your landing zone, you can control the dice enough, and you can be very, very consistent with it, then yes, you can. I believe you can influence the dice. However, myself included, most people cannot actually influence the dice. With Greg's comment, I am very OCD, so that might play a factor into it. But I want to say if you do it and you think it helps you, by all means, go for it. I do it because I think it helps me. But you have to be consistent with it, and it's very hard to actually consider yourself an influencer if you're not consistent with not only those three variables, but a variety of other variables that go into it as well.
All right. Clay.
I do believe in dice influencing. I've been with a lot of a number of people that are very good at dice influencing, and we all have 7'd out at times, but we've all made a lot of money at times. I think that dice influencing is individualized to each person. If you can control the dice enough to get X amount of rolls, whether it's 4, 6, 8, 10 on an average, and you play to that advantage that you can get or that someone else you know has on a regular basis, that you will come out ahead in the long run. You have to play your own game. If your dice influencing on a scale of 1 to 10 is 5 and you're playing with people that are 8 or 9, then you have to adjust when you're shooting to your ability, the same way that you adjust to people like Howard Newman, who I played with a number of times. You have to adjust to that. Even though Howard will point 7 out, Howard will pop off a 40 or 50 roller every now and then too. And you need to be there when it's happening. You need to be on the board when it's happening. That's my opinion.
Well, I'm looking at the comment that Durso just put up here. People think DI means you can call your shot. In reality, it just smooths out the volatility, which is what you more or less just said, Clay. I think how I look at it, and I've done an awful lot over the past year. You saw me have a 42 roller live last night. 6 different times in the past 4 months, I've had 30 plus rolls live on my channel setting the dice. Is that randomly? Am I getting lucky? I don't know. I think if it makes me more comfortable when I'm shooting the dice, I'm going to set the dice. I'm not going to take 40 seconds to set them. Clay, you and I both know there's a casino close by has a 5-second rule. But I think what we're trying to do is you're not saying, okay, here comes the hard 8. Here comes the yo. We're not doing that. We're not doing like Big AZ said, okay, we're going to throw the yo and have that happen. You're trying to extend the amount of times before the 7 comes out. And if you're proficient at it and you can extend it by 1 or 2 rolls, you can add to your winnings or your bankroll, or give you time to regress before you lose the money.
You're not doing that. You're not doing that, so to speak, of throwing a hard 8 or an 8 or a 6, or you're not doing that, so to speak. But in my situation, I throw clusters of numbers. Most of my when an outside set is working for me, the 9 and 10 is my hot numbers, and I got more money on those than I do the rest of them. Although I might be on the 6 and 8, I'll most likely be at minimum, but I'll be pressing the 9s and 10s if the outside set is working. Now, if the outside set isn't working, and I'm hitting a lot of 6s and 8s with my outside set, then I'm either going to bet the 6s and 8s, or I'm going to switch to a 6 and 8 set, which gives me them outside numbers. because when the dice aren't working, one set's not working. If the outside set's giving me 6s and 8s, and the 6s and 8s most likely is going to give me the outside numbers. So I just switch sets.
Okay. Somebody else.
Can I make a counterpoint, Jeff,
I have
on this?
lots of thoughts.
Sure. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I know I'm the odd man out here, but I think there's a lot of things within your power in the game of craps. I think what the dice roll is not one of them. And the fact is, no matter what you roll, you are trying to establish causality in craps, and there is no causality in craps. What's going to roll is going to roll, and you do not know what would have rolled had you not have diced influence. So you're making a whole bunch of assumptions on something you just don't have the data in on. I just filmed recently. I made the fire bet. I did it on my own personal, not on my channel or anything, and John got to see the video. You don't know what the dice are going to do at any given time. The dice do what the dice do. But I want to control in the game of craps what I can control. I can control what I bet. I can control how long I'm at the table. I can control the amount of money I bring with me. I can control my win goal. These are things I can control. I don't think you can control what the dice do. And I don't think even if you think you can, you would know what would have rolled otherwise. So I think the whole thing, the entire pursuit is a giant waste of time.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's a total waste of time. So here's the thing. So, and Greg, I joke with you all the time about this. Like, I've seen people, and they bitch at me on my channel because I'm throwing from 4 feet away when on the live show, and it's like, you're not randomizing the dice enough. So if you can say to me, I grabbed the dice that was a yo and I threw it and I got a second yo, people will say you're not randomizing them enough. Well, that must mean that there's a possibility. But my full thoughts on this are this. I've looked, I've done the dice control series. I've looked at hundreds of hours of slow motion video. I've taken slow motion video of myself throwing perfect throws. And I can tell you that it's a car accident. Every single time it's a car accident. Now, if you're on the freeway, what can you control? You're doing 100 miles an hour on the freeway. You can control your speed, right? You can control whether or not you turn into oncoming traffic or not. You can control how hard you hit the brakes. You can control what direction you go. There are things you can control on the freeway that would mitigate your death in a car accident. We can all agree on that, right? Now, you could still clip somebody from behind and hit the windshield and eat it. That can still happen. But if I can slow my roll, if I can veer off to the side, if I can avoid the severity of the car accident, I can survive it. That's dice control to me. That's dice influence. It's let me control how hard I'm throwing them, where they land, how many times they roll over after they hit the wall, how hard they hit the back wall. I can reduce probably 70% of the quote unquote randomness and be left with 30%. What Greg does with the overhand, throw from the outfield that he does to the back wall guarantees complete random. It guarantees you hitting a semi-truck at 100 miles an hour. That's what you're trying for. You're trying to cause both guys to die, right, in that car accident. I'm trying to hit a bush at 30 miles an hour and hope that I don't hit the windshield. I may still hit the windshield, but I'm trying not to with all I can do and hope that I come out of that thing okay. And if I can do that 7 times, I can bet on that. And that's all that it's about for me. It is 100% random, right? You can't control the dice. You can influence how much craziness there is. And that's really what I joke about this. Like, I want to turn my dice throw into a brunette from a redhead. That's the entirety of what I'm trying to do. I just want to make it less crazy than it was going to be to start with. And if I can do that, I got a chance of being in a zone where I can throw 8, 9, 10. I think random rollers like Jeff showed last night are more likely to throw 40 or 50 than a dice influencer is. But I think a dice influencer is more likely to throw 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 8, 9, 5, 6. I'll take that all day long versus 2, 2, 2, 2, 40. I don't want that kind of volatility. I want a pocket of 5 or 6 rolls, and I'm totally happy with that. That makes sense?
Well, It does, John. And in last night's roll that I did, the 42 live on Chris's and my show last night, it started out with about 12 to 15 rolls where Greg was roll. I was shooting for Greg, and he said hit the back wall, and I'm throwing these dice as hard as I can, and I'm not getting the action off the wall like he gets, because he's like a yo-yo with the dice. The dice come right back to him. He doesn't even have to use a stick to pull it to the center table. I tried to do that last night, I couldn't, and then he finally said, Jeff, set the dice, set Whalen's dice, set the 5-6, 3-5, and probably another 25 rolls before I 7'd out. And I can tell you guys, I felt comfortable. If you were watching it last night, Dylan could probably contest to this. My landing zone was identical probably 80% of the time, and there was a couple times when I really expected it to roll into a 2 or a 3 or a 1 that came out, and it didn't. George was in the chat last night. He was saying a lot of things. I was looking at what he said today on the replay, and I actually threw a couple practice rolls here today. To Vince's chat that I've left up here, dice control is exactly that. You're going to call your shot. We're not talking dice control. We're talking dice influencing.
No, nobody's doing
We're
that.
trying to reduce the number of times before the 7 comes out, and I got lucky. But John, you played with me in April live. You saw me have a 40 roller. I've done it 4 times since then, 5 times last night since then, but it's very rare. Very rare do I get to the 40, but I do get into the 12s.
Yeah. I mean, this game is not about that. This game is about the 7 rollers. I put a video with consistent 7s. It's about, give me 7 every time. If you can influence the dice to give me 7 every time, I'm going to retire a craps player. Because I can bet on that. I can't bet on 2, 2, 2, 2, 40. Like, that's not a way to make any money here. And that's, I think, what we're all about. I think the folks who practice it are just wanting that. Most of us who work on it. And I think Chris is right. The OCD piece of it is real. Like, to me, it's the 10 seconds that I got the dice. I do my thing. I get everything. I take a breath. You know, you're in that rhythm. That just feels good. And I like being in rhythm when I'm doing anything. So I think that's, Chris, I think that's what you're saying. That's the biggest part of it, is feeling good with what you're doing every single time. And I think everything you do in life works that way, right? Your whole life works the same way. Like the way you drive, the way you cook, the way you eat, the way you take a crap. I mean, it's all rhythm, right? So...
No pun intended with the crap there. Well, if you look at what old number 7 says I think that's exactly what you're saying there, John. You know, he says anything that is measured in value, if it's value, then you're measuring it. And I think that if it's with me, it makes me feel better to set the dice. And when Clay and I play at the local and they're pushing the dice back to me, I can look at the dice and know how I'm going to roll them around. I can have them set in 5 seconds, but to release them in 5 seconds is impossible. Anybody else? Dylan, are you awake?
I'm awake. I just really, it's hard to talk about this because I do believe in dice influence, and you know, in fact, I've kind of taken it to, I call it the placebo effect. You know, that's what I call it. It's the placebo effect, because if you don't, it's better to do it than not do it. I mean, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt anything to do it, you know? And so, and I've come up with, I really want to open this can of worms, but, you know, I can set the dice to the anti-9 dice set, or the 6262, or the dice set family of dice sets. And the 6262, won't show, if you can keep the dice on axis, won't show a 5 or a 9. And I have developed strategies where you can take that to your advantage, and you don't have to be. You can be consistent. I'm not attacking the 7. I'm making, it's like the 7 is my friend, because I don't care if I roll a 7, because I'm making money if the 7 rolls. I'm attacking a weaker number. I'm attacking the 5 and or 9, and so I can take advantage of that. Placebo wise, I can take advantage of that because it's a weaker number. It has less combinations to make, and I believe that I can do that. And I feel that other people can do that as well as if they put the practice in and are consistent with their landing zone, consistent with the way that each person throws. And so it's just difficult to describe, but each person has their own unique style that fits them, and once you practice enough and be consistent, then you'll get those groups of clusters like Clay was talking about. You'll find that that area that will work for you, and then you can use that to your advantage, hopefully. But that just comes with being, doing it in and out constantly, like John's doing, and so it's not like it's completely different for us who practice all the time to someone that doesn't practice at all. So that's completely night and day. That's the chicken feeder stuff, and you can't say that's like putting a 5-year-old behind the wheel of a car. You can't do that. It's just stupid.
Dylan, let's take your theory. Let's take your theory right there, and I'm going to switch to a screen. And everybody, hang in here because we're in overtime. Just bear with us, guys. I'm going to switch to this screen, make sure everybody's audio is still on, and I'm going to throw about 6 sets of the 6-2, 6-2, and we're going to see what's going to take place here. So I have 6 sets up here. I'm just going to go ahead and throw them 6-2, 6-2. I have 5 sets. Sorry. The way that I was throwing last night. Let's see if we get a 9 or a 5. There's a 10. Let's get that out of the way. I'm going to throw them exactly from the same spot I was last night. There's a 10. Waylon's best friend, if he's still here. Hard 10 and an easy 10.
He threw a lot of 10s last night, too.
4s, too. That right there was a bad throw, but I still okay. There's a 5. There's 1. I actually called a bad throw before I let go of it. And I know Dice Dr. Dan tells me to stop that, but I can tell as soon as I let go of this dice what it's going to be. There's a 5, 3, 8. So the one I called was a bad throw, wound up being your 5 dial, and everyone else. This is going to be the last one, guys. Just a short test here. And there's a 5, 4, 9. So out of those, I got 1, 5, 4, 9, which was a good roll. This felt good, and here's a bad roll on the 5 on the 4, 1. On the 4, 1, 5. So with that said, that's you can talk about how we set them, and Dylan, you and I talk your anti-9 set all the time. I have no luck with it. I have 5s and 9s show up all the time, but out of 5 rolls, I got a 9 and I got a 5.
Right.
Experiment over with.
What works for me, might not work for you. So I can't, I'm not there, and I'm not there, watching you throw or what have you, or seeing what you're doing, where I could, help you, like George would, to help your explosions and implosions and what have you. And George is a master at that. I'm not a master at that for helping the others. I know what I can do, but if you take that, and if you would have bet a lay 9, you would have won far more times, and you would have, in the long run, had more money than what you would have lost. And that's my whole point, is that there is something to it, but it's a consistency as far as.
Well, let me add this question to the panel. When you're throwing the dice, do you bet differently than when somebody else that's random? Because I just put up a comment that somebody said they prefer never to roll the dice. So I'm going to answer that. I do. Dylan, I know you do.
Yes.
John, with your chopper, are you comfortable? You throw that most of the time when you're playing? Do you throw the chopper? Do you bet differently?
I almost always throw the chopper. I throw it when I'm on the left side. When I'm on the right side, I don't. The right side, I do an off-axis toss. Just because it's more comfortable for my shoulder from that side to do it that way. I do bet more right side on myself, no question, because I know what I throw and how I throw it. I hate to say it, but I don't PSO all that often, so I can get my 1 or 2 shots and be out. If I go 3 shots and out, so what? I made $6. That's how I look at it. Like, I'm going to give myself 2 shots, make some money, and shoot the moon. And if I don't get it, I don't get it. But yeah, I do bet different on me than everybody else. But I don't go crazy. You know, I'm not like, 900 across because I think I'm great. You know, it's 160 for a couple of hits, and I'm saying a Hail Mary the whole time.
Chris, I think you already answered the question, but did you want to add something else? Greg, I think somebody else spoke there too, but Chris, did you want to add something else to yours?
I don't know. I was just like nodding my head to the do I bet differently on myself versus other people. I mean, if I see somebody shooting to the point where like I feel like I'm confident getting my couple hits that I need, like John calls it, that can you consistently roll the 7 rolls? Like if I can consistently roll the number that or the amount of rolls that I'm trying to roll, then I'll bet on myself, obviously, one way. And if I see other people doing that where they can hit consistently an amount of numbers that I would need, then I'll bet on them the same way I bet on me. But like until I see it, until you prove it to me, then I won't bet on you the same way I bet on myself.
All right. Did somebody else have a comment in there? I think I talked to somebody.
I did. Yeah,
go ahead,
Jeff,
Greg.
first of all, your sample size is minuscule. So if we're going to look at this seriously, that you're going to roll the dice 3, 4, 5 times, you need hundreds, thousands of rolls to establish anything. That's first of all. So I don't know how guys, and they say, well, dice influence, no harm, no foul. But the truth is, if you are increasing your bet size based on a perceived advantage that you may or may not have, there is harm and foul in that. You are putting yourself in jeopardy. You are actually basing your decisions on something that may be untrue. Now, sometimes when you do that, you're going to get the result you want. And you're going to say, oh, okay, my throw is good. But if it's actually based on something that's false, the end result is going to be false as a result of that. So if I think I'm better than than my actual ability, assuming that this is possible, all my decisions are skewed from there because I'm taking information. Basically, I'm looking up at the sky and I'm looking at the clouds and I'm trying to find shapes in it. And there's a million ways this can go wrong for you. Big one I saw with my dice influence friends, that they got all cocky with, I can roll good, and they bet twice as much money on it. And it turns out that they could not actually roll well and lost their shirts doing it. So I think there is a foul, there is a downside to this. And I think it's a dangerous practice. I think it's better off to control the things you can control, which is, like I said, you can stay disciplined, you can stay unemotional, you can bring in your loss limits, you can, how much money you want to spend. This stuff you can control. This other stuff, you're trying to read tea leaves, and it rarely goes well. And and the fact is, when it does actually go wrong, you don't know why it went wrong. Did you just get unlucky and the dice random, or were you thrown? You don't know if you threw good, if you didn't throw good. All you know is what that end result is. I'm telling you, Jeff, this is an exercise in absolute madness. It gets you nowhere, but it'll just get you in your head too much. That's why I say put all that stuff out of your head, pick up the dice and throw them for the back wall.
Oh, no, I did. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Greg, and everybody has their opinion. And I believe JR got in here late. He probably got here just about the time we were getting ready to talk about this subject, so he missed the first 2.5 hours of the show. But I'm going to put a comment up here that goes to show you, the controversies or differences of opinions between the two. And, everybody has their opinion. I'm going to put this one up here because I liked it. This was the first one he put, decades before rock and rollers, golden arm grandmas ruled the roost. So, when you get talking about the dice influence, I'm gonna follow up a couple more of his comments here that he made, because I mean it is I guess part of your belief, but the way I looked at it, Greg, was that I feel comfortable doing it, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue to do the same thing, and I consider it more rhythm roll, like John said, than anything else.
Yeah, Jeff, I totally get your point. The thing is, I don't see any of these guys charging thousands of dollars, and this upsets me because I love my people, my craps community, all my subscribers. I don't see any of these guys willing to step up to the plate and show me that they're better than anyone else, because I have a craps table at home. If I give them a random pair of dice, are they willing to do that on camera? And I'd say that most of the people who charge these insane amounts of money are not willing to do that. They're not willing to come to my table and to take a 5-5-5 challenge and be able to do something that's astonishing, because they'll be scared that they'll PSO or they won't perform and they'll lose their money. So, Jeff, I think there's a lot of snake oil in this. I really do.
Well, without talking about that anymore, I think that we're going to take a look at that maybe, sometime in a series coming up, later on in the year. So, I don't want to say any more about that. Is there anybody else on the panel, because I knew this was going to create some controversy, that would like to chime in one way or the other on dice influencing, not controlling? Is that somebody shaking some dice? Is that what I heard? Anybody? Got some dead air here. It's like watching a fireworks show when there's nothing in the air.
I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I said my thoughts on this. I practice it because I like it. To me, it's like I told Greg this too. I feel like in anything in life, I feel like if I'm not trying to improve, it's a waste of my time. So even if it's not possible to do, I feel like I've got to put the effort and time into it and feel like I'm on it. It's like betting or coding or writing, whatever it is I'm doing, upping the game on the YouTube channel. If I'm not trying to improve, I shouldn't be doing it, and I get bored. And that's the primary reason for it. Even if I suck at it and I can't get it done, I don't care. It's the pursuit of excellence to me that makes me a better person and this a better country. So that's what it's all. I mean, I'm gonna get political on you. That's what it's all. It is the journey, right? To me, throwing them against the wall, like Greg does, it's like you're giving up. And I don't want to give up. I just want to keep trying to get better. If there's anything to it, I'm going to be the guy that masters it. And that's how I look at everything I do in my life. So that's the OCD that Chris was talking about, I guess, right? It's like I'm just not going to stop giving it everything I have.
Yep. And I think Arnell says it best here with how the one I'm putting up here now. It's more controlled shooting than it is dice control. So rhythm shooting, controlled shooting. Mm-hmm. I like to say, you go to bowl, you pick up the ball, you fit it in your hand, you take your breath, you go up to the plate to bat, you're going to play tennis. It's the same thing. That's how I look at it. I'm just going to do the same thing over and over, and everybody on the screen. Well, yeah. So. And I think that's where we need to be.
We've all golfed, right? We've all golfed, right? Every golfer has a waggle before they hit their shot. It doesn't mean shit as far as your shot goes. That does not mean where your ball's going. But you waggle, you get yourself set, you get centered, and off your shot goes. You get yourself right before you do it. That's it. So that's how I look at it.
The first cuss word of the night comes almost 3 hours into the stream, and John had to say it.
Well,
all right, anybody else before?
I've had 4 whiskeys, and I'm channeling my Ken. My inner Ken is coming out.
Before we wrap this up, does anybody else have any final words on this subject?
Once again, let me chime in, Jeff. I think if you enjoy doing dice influence, you should do it. It certainly won't hurt you if you keep your head in the game with everything else you're doing. What I really get passionate about, and I'm sorry if I sound very passionate about it, is I don't like to see people I love, my community here, getting taken for a ride by some of these guys who are disingenuous and dishonest. If you enjoy doing it, it gives you peace of mind, it gives you something to focus on, relaxes you, or you just enjoy it. Do it. But don't pay somebody who probably doesn't know how to do it any better than you, and thousands at that. When if you want to do it and enjoy it, and that's enough justification to do it. I love you guys, all my dice influencer friends out there. I don't want you to think I don't, but do it if you enjoy it. But be cautious with paying people for this stuff.
All right, guys. I'm going to put just a couple more chats up on this subject, and then we're going to call this one. I'm not sure how to pronounce. Is it Jelapon? However you pronounce your name, I apologize for that. He had 2 questions. One was that would it be classified who's the best top 3? I think that's another topic for another day, even if we get there. I think after we watch Garrison's show on Tuesday night, I believe it's Tuesday night, if you're going to watch that show, you can see what he's doing. But he also puts this comment up here, which I'm going to put here. It says, it's at Casino Gaming TV. Do any of you guys ever worry about being banned from a casino or DI when you show your faces to the world? I did when I started my channel. I don't worry about it anymore because most casinos are open at least 20 to 24 hours a day. And just because a DI shows up and extends the roll a little bit, they got the rest of the 20 hours or 21 hours in the day to make their money on the house edge. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me on that. And then I'm going to put Waylon up here. Waylon puts that. Yeah. Why did not Waylon's go up there? There it goes. A little slow. Computer's getting tired.
We both know
it
that's
works
wrong. The casino up north.
You're breaking up, Clay. Let me finish this one here. If it works for you, that's all that matters. If you don't believe in it, then it's all random, right? So why the heck does it bother anyone? And it really shouldn't bother anyone, Waylon. I mean, we do, we don't do it. And Clay, what did you say about the casinos north of us?
You know, when they talk about banning people, I mean, we've never been banned, but we have been shut down a number of times in the casino up north. I mean, they just hassle you so much that you just can't play there anymore.
All right. Well,
I don't care about being banned. I mean, my local casinos love me because we tip good. We don't care. You know, the thing about the YouTube thing, and I think this comes out from before. Yeah, they're happy with us, right? Because we're consistent customers. They like the tips, and it's all good. The thing that's funny about your face being on YouTube is the thing. Did you guys worry about that? Dylan and Jeff and Clay and Chris, because that was the thing for me. I had to make a decision way back when I started. Want to have my face on this or not? Is it going to be just table and hands? Am I going to show you who I am? Because I have a family, right? That's the thing I thought about. Did you think about that?
One of the things that I didn't like when we played in Atlantic City that day is that one of our players that was in our group actually was telling the people behind the pit area who we were and what we did. I didn't like that, and I don't do that when I play with other people. I never say that. I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, you're that big ugly bald-headed guy that plays the hybrid strat." No, I'm kidding. But they've come up to me and said, "Hey, I watch your channel." I have had that happen, but I don't like to announce it. I don't like to announce it at all. We have a dealer at a local that actually knows about it, and I just asked him. I don't talk about that while I'm in here.
Hey, Jeff, have you ever considered something? If the casinos really wanted to stop you guys from dice influencing, don't you think they can do it as effectively as they stopped people from card counting?
Yeah. Well, yes. To answer your question, it is yes. But when I'm throwing my shot, Greg, I only have to touch the back wall. It doesn't have to hit the diamonds. And you saw me throw 4 out of 5 shots there, and my dice landed right at the back wall and barely moved. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's my rhythm side of what I'm trying to do is let them hit the back wall to meet the requirements and die. Stop. Don't roll anymore. That's what I try to do. Don't know whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but from the grip to the release to the velocity to the height to the wall, and I just wanted to touch the back wall so they can't say both dice didn't touch the back wall.
No, I hear you, Jeff. But my point is, if they really wanted to stop you guys from doing it, they would just literally stop you guys from doing it. The reason they allow you to do it. Now, I always say this. Everything the casino does is very deliberate to take your money. If they're allowing you to do it, it's because they don't perceive that you have any advantage at all, or they perceive that you are actually making them more money by doing it. The casino's very insidious this way. So, it's like guys kind of sneaking around to do this, and they talk about banning. I don't think they want to ban you guys. I think they're just fine with you doing it. I think a lot of you guys lose more money in the practice, and I've actually talked to a friend of mine, a higher up in a casino. I won't mention names, but that these guys actually, through recklessness, make the casino more money, and they're more than happy to allow it, even if a couple of guys supposedly. Listen, guys make money at craps tables. It's a risk of doing business that they take, but overall, from my friend, he told me that dice influence is a net positive to the casino, because if it wasn't, they would stop you like this in a heartbeat, because they can.
Well, at one of
And
our
they do.
casinos
If I-
here locally,
when I-
Greg, they give
Not
us
if.
5 seconds to release the dice.
Wow.
Yeah, when I
Well,
open my casino, I'm not going to care about dice control. I'm not going to care about it because whatever. The problem with dice control or dice influencers is that, like Greg says, most people overbet their skill. Right? And that's the thing. So your question earlier was, how do you bet different on yourself? Yes, I do. I think I can roll good. Most guys who throw the dice and think they can do it overbet their skill. And I think casinos know that and love that, and they don't care. Now, some casinos do have rules. I've seen no dice setting signs at casinos. I've seen. I should take a picture of it. If you'd let me. There are no dice setting signs. So I've had pit bosses stop setting, stop the setting. I've seen them stop long rolls by saying you can no longer do that. You've got to throw it against the back wall. You got to throw it harder. I've seen them try and shut it down when bad things happen for them. It's bullshit when they do it, but they do it. Most they don't care about it. Greg's right about that. I mean, Casino John is not going to care. Casino John knows that somebody's going to come in and go 900 across because they think they're the bee's knees, and they're going to PSO. And I'm going to make just as much money on you, thinking you're great, than you will take from me with a great roll. That's the way I think most casinos see it. They don't really care. Just don't take too long. I think it's in the chat here a bunch of times. You know, put a timer on it. Get the dice out of your hands in 10 seconds. If you can't set the dice and throw them within 10, 15 seconds, that's on you. Right. You should practice that. I practice that all day long. When I practice, I'm setting it and they're out. I'm setting and they're out. I practice my timing because I don't want to get heat to ruin my jam. I want to be quick, accurate, and on point. And to me, that's part of the rhythm. You got to get that done as a thrower.
Well, I think if I was in a situation where Chris was in today, where it was taking 40 seconds to set the dice, something probably would have come out of my mouth, either to the stick man or the dealer or to that player. And so after he threw the dice that many inconsistent times, I probably would have said something like, and I'm not being sarcastic when I say this, like, really? Like, what's the point? You know, I would have said it in a joking way, but I would have been serious. But then again, you know, I'm not a rude person. But 40 seconds, Chris, man, I don't know how you didn't say something.
I was just rolling my eyes. That's a perfect example of someone overbetting their skill. And I watched him roll 3 times. All his rolls were under 5 rolls, and they were all over the place. He was using the hard way set because I saw it from across the table. Hard way set, throwing horns, throwing box numbers all over the place. The guy wasn't consistent at all. He went like horn box, horn 7. And I was like, all right, but that's the thing. He's setting. He's taking too long. That's another thing. I don't know if people see it. I'm sure with some people like to take the dice, pick them up, and throw them against the back wall, and pick them up and throw them against the back wall so they get that exact number on top that they want. Why don't you just put the number on top that you want? Why throw it when you know what you want on top? Just put the number there and throw the dice.
Well, we all know the ones, Chris, that set the dice, pick it up, blow in their hand, shake the dice, and then throw the dice. I don't get that either. All right, guys, we're coming to the. Go ahead, John.
Honestly, so hold on, Jeff. So that's an OCD thing, and I'm okay with that. If you're gonna set them, pick them up, shake them, that's your OCD. Fine, just don't take 40 seconds to do it. I think Duracell's got a great comment. You put it up, which was the pandemic and the shutdown. Yes, that's a really good point to make, right? Dealers, the casinos make money on throws per hour. They really do, right? And when you have the pandemic and you've got only 6 spots per table because of the glass things, they had to ensure that we're getting dice out quick. They needed to get rolls per hour, even at 6 spots. So that's 6 spots, $25 minimums, rolls per hour. That's how they stayed open, and it's why we still have craps. So as much as we can bitch about that, it's reality. And you have to be okay with that. Now that we're past all of that, be quick, right? If you're going to be a dice setter, set them quick, get your grip right, and get them the hell out of your hands. Like, keep the thing moving. We'd all be happy. It isn't that hard. All right, guys. It really isn't.
Anybody else have any comments on this subject? Dylan, you've been kind of sitting there so patiently for the last almost 3 hours. Any comments before we get out of here for the night?
No, I'm good. This was a great discussion, and like I said, it's placebo effect. So if we can make it work, then that's fine. So, and
Yeah.
if not, don't bet, don't go crazy. And I agree with Greg. On that point is you can't overbet your skills. At all in any way, shape, form, or fashion, because it will come and bite you. So we all agree upon that for sure.
All right. Greg, any final words on this topic?
No, not really. If you're gonna do it, guys, just be cautious.
Yes,
don't
sir.
overbet your skill level. Don't make unwise decisions based on an advantage you may or may not have. If you enjoy doing it, do it for that purpose. But I see guys go up to the table and they think they're just going to roll the lights out because they dice influence, and a lot of times these guys lose big money. So if you're doing that, I think you shouldn't dice influence. If you're doing it, do it safely.
All right, guys, what we're going to do here now, because we just did push over to the 3-hour and 10-minute level with the pre-show, so what I'm going to do is give everybody a final word here and then stay in here, because how I'm going to finish the show is I'm going to show the final, since we're talking about dice setting, I'm going to show the final few minutes of last night with Sideshow Gamble and Mid-Atlantic Craps, the final rolls, the 39, 40, 41, and 42 roller, and then the show will end. You can stick around and watch it or not. We just did have quite a few viewers back on again with us, so I'm going to finish it out. So let's go to Clay. Any final words, Clay?
No, just thanks for having me, and it was great being a part of the chat tonight.
Well, we welcome you here, Chris.
Thank you all. Great show as always, Jeff and Dylan. Love the idea of this, and it's great. John, always great discussions. Clay, great playing with you last weekend. Hope to see you again soon. Greg, I miss you, and love you, brother.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, I was going to go to you next, Greg, because there's a comment on the screen for you.
Kind of.
The Justice Jen.
Oh.
She says, great to hear from Greg again.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Yeah, I saw a couple of comments out there, and I don't see the exact comment, but somebody said up here before that that me being the dark side guy. Oh, here it is. Old school crap said, post show Greg, I eat, sleep, and live the dark side. Miss your streams. You were the king of dark side, and you taught me so much. Bankroll control with stopping profit has made me a winner. Well, when I hear stuff like these two comments, it makes my day. It really it warms my heart, because I know that I had a positive influence on somebody out there, and it means so much to me. Thank you, guys. I love every single one of you, and I wish everybody fantastic good luck at the craps table.
Thank you, John. I'm going to go to you next. I almost hate to end it. It's only 9. I'll go on 9 o'clock your time. We've got 50 viewers online still. We've been going at this for over 3 hours. But the final word for you.
Just to repeat what everybody said, thank you for hosting. Thanks to you and Dylan for having a great bi-weekly show. Hopefully it stays bi-weekly. This is the highlight of my every 2 weeks. I wish it was every week, but I look forward to this more than almost anything else. I really, 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 really love doing this. And I can't tell you, the 45, 50 people would agree with me. This is the best thing of the whole craps universe. I love this show. So thanks for having me on. Greg, I love you, man. You're my guy. God bless you. You're such a wonderful person, and I really appreciate you so much. And Chris and Clay, you guys are awesome. Thanks for doing this. On a selfish note, probably tomorrow morning show will be at 7 o'clock Pacific time, so 10 o'clock Eastern. I have been called for jury duty, so I got to be at the Snohomish County courthouse at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I'm going to probably go at 7. It's probably going to be a half-hour show all week. So I'm sorry about that, but that's my selfish note. I'll see you at Coffee and Craps at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. Love you guys.
John, John, you cannot say it's selfish what you do each and every day from your own studio, putting this channel together. We're broadcasting on now, the Casino Gaming TV Network, your Pro Craps channel. What you've done for the community is pulling it together. We've had some great craps players on this show. We look forward to getting some back. I'm looking forward to your guests that you have planned coming up. And with that said, I'm going to switch screens. Everybody's welcome to stay. How I'm going to end the show is I'm going to show that very last few minutes of the roll last night so we can talk about dice control, and you'll hear me holler the set each and every time, and then the show will be over with. So I'm going to switch over here to a screen, and for everybody out there, I really appreciate all the nice comments coming in. Going to switch over to this screen right here for Dylan and me. Dylan, you will get the final words here before I head into this final video of the night.
Well, once again, thanks to everyone that participated. This is open source for everyone to participate for that loves the game of craps. We want to hear from each and every one of you. Your 2 cents is super valued, and that's what this show is here for. Is for you to come on, be part of our roundtable discussion here. We had a great discussion. We don't have to. We can always agree to disagree. There's always different sides of the cube of our dice that we can look at and analyze and look upon, and you can see one side of the cube, and Greg for 555 can see a different side of the cube, but that doesn't mean that anyone is wrong. It's just a different of appearances, and that we can all have great fun and learn something all together. That's what it's all about. It's just coming together and being one big happy family, and there's always things to talk about when we talk about craps. I mean, it's not boring at all. We got a 3-hour show right here, and we've only scratched the surface. So I look forward to each and every show. Once again, I thank everyone for participating, and I look forward to seeing more people come on the show. And it's very easy to do. It's very, very easy to do. The technology is here. It's super easy. You just got to click the link, and make sure you're a human, and you are kind and considerate, and you're in like Flynn. So it's very easy to do. So I'm personally inviting you to come on to the next Craps Chat. So thank you very much for viewing this, and again, we look forward to seeing you to participate, because we want to hear from you, and I mean you, okay, and you.
Well, it brought me into the topic. We didn't talk about Dylan. The next Crap Chat would actually be August 31st. Labor Day weekend would be the weekend after that. Unfortunately, I am going to be out of town. I may be able to make it back, so we may have to go into past the Labor Day weekend. I know it seems like we've only done one show a month during the summer. We had talked about that earlier as well. So we will get together to answer the question when the next Craps Chat will be. It could be the 31st if I get back in time, but I don't think that I will, but we'll see what happens. With that said, Dylan is the creator of this show. It was his idea. I facilitated it. John's Casino Gaming TV made it possible for us to stream here to this group. And without all of you at home watching all of our channels, like and subscribe to every single one that's on here. Next time we come on, guys, you don't have to be a YouTube content provider. We like people like Tim that came on, and I'm missing Kevin Farm. If anybody has any information about Kevin, please shoot me an email at jeff@midatlanticcraps.com. That is my address. We're going to finish it out here with my normal saying, Dilated. We're going to go into this short video, and then the show will be over with. Thanks, everyone. This is a record show. We're going to be pushing 3 hours and 25 minutes by the time this is over with. Till next time, I'm Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps. As always, please be safe and play smart. Dice are out. There is a 6 for 10. The new point will be a 10 on the end. And it's Waylon's best friend.
I'm good.
Chris, Joe, any changes?
All bets up.
Okay, Chris, to you.
All right, give me a sec.
All right, the nuts and bolts. We started with 1,500 tonight. It was a 6-way match, 3 on Chris's channel, 3 on my channel. We're still in the middle of the first roll. I have no idea. Let me tell you. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to say it. I'm not saying it, guys. Not even looking. Not
All
even
right,
looking. Chris, go
don't
ahead.
look. Don't look. All right, Tim,
All
any
set.
changes?
All set.
All set.
All set.
Dan, are you working?
I'm working.
Copy that. Skill, you got 550 off that hit.
550.
Oh, my
Nobody's
guys.
talking bad about you.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Skill, I lost Skill. Skill,
Okay,
you there?
I'm back.
All right. 550?
Yeah, 550, and then I'm going to, let's do, give me 1 second here, I'm putting some math to it, 2, 3,
While he's doing the math, James
320.
Rod, the
320.
Rack the Black, what a great motto. Would
320
be
across?
John from CRAPS motto.
yeah, 320 across, yeah, that's what it's going to be total, yeah. So we're doubling it again.
Too easy.
Dialing set.
He is set now.
I was all set. Yes, sir.
All right, 5635. Thanks, Clay, for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate that. It'll go to the pay it forward. Here we go. Dice are out. There's a 415. A no fee 5. Let's see. I'm gonna have to pay you that for 10. And Joe, what has Joe got on that? That's 50, 49, 56. 56. All right, Waylon, what would you like?
What did I get paid on that 5?
What 140, and I took 10 out of your rack page of 150 because you got all the reds.
Okay. Press my 4, 5, 9, 10, and 25 each.
Up the outside 25 each is what I think I heard.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, 56.
Put a quarter on the 4, quarter on the 10, put the rest in the rack.
All right, to you, Chris.
All right, Tim, I just colored up 100 in red for a black chip. Put it in your rack. You got 35 on that 5.
Rack the green and put my 5 and 9 up nickel.
All right, and rack in the green. I'm going to color up green next for you.
All set.
All right. Dan, I dropped 2. You got 100. What would you like?
Rack the black.
Rack in the black. Any changes?
No change.
Copy that. Skill, you got 455. What would you like?
Black. 455. So, the five is the 5 looking like 3 3.25?
It is.
Okay, so let's make it look like 500
For just the 5?
for just the 5. Correct.
Rack and everything else?
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
Set.
We're good, Jeff.
All right. For those that experienced a little bit of technical difficulty there, that does happen. We work as fast as we can. Yes, you lost us for about 30 seconds, but you didn't miss anything. 5635, the dice are out. There it is, the 6 and the 1, the one that says we're done, and that's the first.
That was a 40.
Wow. For those of you that were monitoring what don't get mad at me for saying that. I'm just trying to get people attracted to the channel. Chris, real quick, I've had to put my left